गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन। आज हम दो चैप्टर्स करेंगे, चैप्टर 4 एंड चैप्टर 5। बोथ दीज चैप्टर्स आर प्रेटी स्मॉल, so it won't take a lot of time, but please try to understand the basic concepts as well. Please make sure that whenever I'm teaching something, when I'm using a term, you have understanding of that term. Okay, if not in the class, after class you should go through and understand those aspects carefully, because as I've told you in the past also, in economy there are around 20 questions which are asked. 15 questions can be done from only the basic understanding. If you understand the basic terms, if you understand how they change, 15 questions can be done only from that. तो basic concepts पे हमेशा ध्यान देना. Then rest of the questions can be done from Economic Survey of India and budget. उसके बाद भी थोड़े बहुत रहते हैं. तो इकोनॉमी में current affairs beyond Economic Survey of India and budget are not that important. Basic concepts, Economic Survey of India and budget, the most important. उसके अलावा भी हम पढ़ेंगे. I'm not saying कि will not do other current affairs, will do other current affairs as well, but ये जो चीजें हम पढ़ रहे हैं are very important. ध्यान से एक एक चीज समझ के do this. Okay. 5 more. So let's start with the monetary management and financial intermediation. और monetary policy वाला जो section होता है, इसमें we primarily deal with, when we come to financial sector, we primarily deal with the banking sector. We deal with monetary policy of the government, we deal with banking sector, we deal with insurance sector, we deal with pension sector. तो जो financial inclusion में financial services वाले जो sectors हैं, we deal with them. And here we also cover capital market. Capital market में जैसे equities, those stocks, those aspects would also be done. Because we are talking about equities, here we'll also briefly deal with FPIs. Now in detail we will study FPI, FDI and all in external sector, but here briefly, because FPIs do come and invest in equity, so we'll understand what happened to them last year. Because we're dealing with Economic Survey of India, we'll understand what happened to them over the last 1 year. Okay, so first we know that the financial year 23, that is 1st of April 2022 to 31st March 2023. अभी 31st March तो आया नहीं है, but this has been a year which has been affected by inflation, right? So there are many reasons for inflation, why this year specifically was facing the problem of inflation. One is because of COVID-19 lockdown, all over the world there was economic slowdown, and all over the world countries provided stimulus. So when there is more money supply, when there is more stimulus, there would be inflation. There would be higher chances of inflation. That is one of the core reasons. Then some other factors emerged. Demands increased in 2021 and 22. Why would that happen? Because of the demand suppression during COVID-19. But then this Ukraine-Russia war also, like we were seeing that everything was reviving, things were improving, but the Ukraine-Russia war impacted the commodity supply. Some of the important commodities like fuel, like food. Ukraine is a country which exports a lot of wheat, fertilizers, and this again became a factor for added to the inflationary pressure which otherwise would have occurred. Otherwise also there some inflation would have occurred, but because of this it happened. Now अभी हम जो next chapter पढ़ेंगे, this is chapter 4. Chapter 5 is about inflation only. So there also we'll talk about similar things. Okay. Now when inflation goes up, central banks increase their interest rate. So you would see that even in case of India, this had happened. Look at it, marginal standing facility, repo rate and reverse repo rate. In February, between February and June, you see COVID-19 stuck, economic slowdown occurred. Banks tried to do what? Central bank tried to ensure more money in the economy. To ensure more money in the economy, they under liquidity adjustment facility MSF का भी, repo rate का भी, reverse repo rate का भी, they reduced interest rates. You see, दो बार यहाँ पे interest rate reduced हुआ. In case of reverse repo, that happened 3 times. Okay, so from June 2020, you see this here, from June 2020 to roughly April, May, the interest rates were very low, money supply was very high. Inflation was likely to occur. But then when prices started increasing, when inflation started happening, we have kept on increasing all three of these rates. Now please note, जो ये रिवर्स रेपो है, रिवर्स रेपो आप देखेंगे हमने यहीं पे रोक दी. We have stopped it in April 2022. Why? Because we have introduced another mechanism by which we are we know this, no, कि repo rate is used for RBI when it gives loan to a short term loan to banks. It is 2 to 14 day loan. तो बैंक्स को रेपो रेट पे लेना पड़ेगा. इन केस ऑफ रेपो रेट बैंक्स हैव टू एज सिक्योरिटी submit government securities and all. They did not get collateral free loan. So banks have to give government securities as collateral. तो short term 2 to 14 days का लोन है. This is repo rate. Reverse repo क्या होता है? When banks have excess money and they want to deposit it with RBI. This is reverse repo. So this is the money which banks charge from RBI, or this is the money which RBI, this is the interest rate which RBI gives to banks. Right? यहाँ पे भी collateral देना पड़ता है. So here RBI will have to give government security as collateral. It is also short term. Then there is marginal standing facility. What is marginal standing facility? जब आपको overnight के लिए, देखो repo rate, reverse repo rate is for 2 to 14 days. This is also short term, but this is 2 to 14 days. जब आपको overnight के लिए, when banks need money overnight, emergency में, in that case what would happen? They would borrow money at marginal standing facility, MSF, and it is higher than repo rate. जब कोई भी चीज, when you need something on emergency, generally the charges are high, interest rate is high. So marginal standing facility was this. So generally what happens, repo rate से ऊपर marginal standing facility रहेगा और repo rate से नीचे reverse repo रहेगा. अगर reverse repo से ऊपर रहेगा तो banks will borrow money from RBI and then will lend it to RBI and keep earning money. So that would not happen. Okay, ये वाली बात समझ में आई. तो with increase in inflation, even RBI has kept on increasing their liquidity adjustment facilities के rate. अच्छा, before we go ahead, also I hope you understand these things. When a central bank has to do money supply control in the economy, so they use some conventional methods. In conventional methods, we have bank rate, we have CRR, and we have SLR. ये conventional mechanisms हैं. These mechanisms were used even before LPG reforms. But non-conventional, the newer methods that we have started using, उसमें we have liquidity adjustment facility, and in liquidity adjustment facility we have repo, we have reverse repo, we have marginal standing facility, and now we have also brought SDF. Okay, do we understand all these terms? Do we have clarity on this? हम जब क्वेश्चंस करेंगे उस टाइम ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज मिसिंग. ओके, तो now what is SDF? SDF that was introduced in April 2022, we would understand that. Most of the books have still not included SDF. जो बुक्स अप्रैल 2022 से पहले पब्लिश हुई होंगी वो तो डेफिनेटली कैनॉट हैव SDF. So let us understand SDF थोड़ा सा. So please come back to this situation, April 2022. What happened in April 2022? Government introduced SDF, and therefore you will see that यहाँ से reverse repo rate publish नहीं किया हमने SDF बताया. This is the SDF. So what is SDF? Standing deposit facility. This is a mechanism by which banks will deposit money to RBI. ये तो रिवर्स रेपो में भी करते थे. Then what has changed? Why did we need a different mechanism? In reverse repo, banks, central bank had to give collateral. रेपो में बैंक जब पैसे बोरो कर रहा है सेंट्रल बैंक से, RBI से, तो बैंक गिव्स कोलेटरल, उसके बदले में पैसे मिल रहे. इन द सेम वे इन रिवर्स रेपो, व्हेन बैंक इज डिपॉजिटिंग मनी टू RBI, तो RBI has to give collateral. What if RBI wants to get in more money, RBI increases reverse repo so that banks will deposit more money to it, and RBI doesn't have enough collateral. RBI के पास उतनी गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज ही नहीं है. These could be these things used to hinder the monetary policy control which RBI could have. Are we getting it? So what we did, we introduced SDF. SDF में first key difference between reverse repo and SDF is SDF में collateral is not given. So when RBI is taking money from banks, इसके बदले में RBI under SDF will not give collateral. Right? So for general situation, repo rate has been done away with. अब repo rate का use नहीं हो. So it has not been completely discarded. RBI in future can use it, है ना? But for now, the floor of the interest rate. देखो interest rate हमने interest rate देखा है, सबसे ऊपर होता है marginal standing facility, then repo and then reverse repo. तो हमारा जो policy rates है उसका floor, lowest point used to be reverse repo. Now what has that become? SDF. Reverse repo rate is still lower than SDF, but because it is not being used. And again, please note, we have not discarded it completely. It depends on RBI. RBI may start using it from the next month again. Did we get it? Did we get SDF and the core difference? We'll come to notes, and there also we have explained this. So now to bring SDF, SDF was brought, but to bring SDF, पहले SDF का recommendation was given by Arjit Patel committee in 2014. Then RBI Act was amended in 2018 to bring this provision. Only after this MPC is empowered to introduce the concept of SDF. So with this, fixed rate overnight reverse repo has ceased to be the floor of LAF corridor. सबसे पहले इससे पहले जो फ्लोर होता था liquidity adjustment facility का, that used to be reverse repo, that is no more the case. What happens to reverse repo? So please note, reverse repo would continue in the sense reverse repo continues to remain in the toolkit of the RBI. RBI may use it at its discretion in the future. Okay, now when reverse repo was introduced, when SDF was introduced, its interest rate was kept higher, 3.75% of from that time's reverse repo. अब इसका मतलब समझो, देखो, when RBI is borrowing money from banks or RBI banks are depositing money to RBI collateral भी नहीं दे रहा है, so it should be paying slightly higher interest rate. That is one aspect, but more importantly, RBI wanted that it should be able to withdraw extra liquidity from the market. So SDF का interest rate was higher than reverse repo, so that more banks would be interested in. अब देखो, RBI से सिक्योरिटी लेने की जरूरत तो नहीं है ना? RBI सेंट्रल बैंक से सिक्योरिटी लेने की जरूरत नहीं है, तो सिक्योरिटी वाला ड्रामा was anyways not needed. RBI wanted to bring in more money, so this has changed. This was in April 2022. Again, if we'll go to this image, you see in April 2022 when reverse repo was less than 3.5, उस टाइम ये 3.75 पे इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ है SDF. नाउ इट हैज चेंज्ड, है ना? तो वी आर टॉकिंग, जब हम वहां 3.75 बोल रहे हैं, वी आर सेइंग ऑफ दैट टाइम सिचुएशन. नाउ इट्स ऑपरेटेड ऑन ओवरनाइट बेसिस विद द फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी टू अब्सॉर्ब लिक्विडिटी फॉर लॉन्गर टेन्योर आल्सो. रिवर्स रेपो जैसे ओवरनाइट बेसिस पे भी हो सकता था, वो 2 to 14 डेज वाले सिचुएशन में होता है. दैट्स सेम इज द सिनेरियो हियर. डिपॉजिट्स अंडर SDF शैल नॉट बी रिकॉर्ड एज बैलेंस एलिजिबल फॉर CRR. इसको भी समझते हैं. देखो, we were talking about reserve ratios, जिसको हमने अभी we spoke about the conventional liquidity management facilities में we spoke about bank rate, we spoke about CRR and we spoke about SLR. CRR क्या होता है? In cash reserve ratio we say that a percentage of bank's money has to be deposited with RBI in cash. SLR can be in the form of cash, it can be in the form of government securities, it can be in the form of gold also, but CRR cash के form में ही होगा. Now when CRR is in the form of cash, there is one more इंपॉर्टेंट डिफरेंस बिटवीन सीआरआर एंड एसएलआर, सीआरआर पे इंटरेस्ट नहीं दिया जाता. तो व्हेन बैंक, let's say CRR is 4%, so when banks deposit 4% of their net time and demand liability with RBI, RBI does not pay any interest on it. RBI does not pay any interest on it. You're getting it? Whereas when it comes to SLR, अब देखो SLR में suppose they have deposited government security with the bank. If they have deposited government security with the bank, when banks have bought government security, they are anyways getting interest on that. So on SLR deposits, banks can earn interest. On CRR, banks cannot earn interest. This is another core difference between CRR and SLR. Did we understand this? Are we clear about it? Now come back to SDF. What are they saying? Deposits under SDF shall not be reckoned as balance eligible for maintenance of CRR. तो जब आप SDF में पैसे, when banks are depositing money with RBI, this will not be included in your 4% CRR requirement. Why? Because CRR वाले में तो आपको interest मिल ही नहीं सकता. When you are giving money to bank at SDF, you are getting interest. So that will not be included in your calculation of CRR. Are we clear about it? Are we understanding this? Sure. So now we have clarity on this, but shall be eligible asset for maintenance of SLR. It will be an eligible asset for maintenance of SLR. So when bank is depositing some cash with RBI, this deposit can be considered or can be included in their SLR requirement deposit. Why? तो SLR तो anyways interest earn कर सकते हो, उस पे भी आपको interest मिल रहा है, तो that thing is taken care of. Are we clear about this? CRR, SLR ये सब भी हमें पता है, and we understand SDF also. Reverse repo is still a tool with RBI which it can use. Is it using it right now? No. But it can use it at its own discretion. That's what we said here. No. See, what happens to reverse repo? It should be noted that reverse repo continues to remain in the toolkit of the RBI as a monetary policy instrument, and its operation will be at the discretion of the RBI for purpose specified from time to time. So RBI at its discretion will specify the purpose for which it can be used. ये समझ में आई ये बात सबको? Yes. Reverse repo. See, now because it's not operational for now, SDF is the floor. That's what this is also saying. Economic Survey of India is also saying, we are also saying ki SDF is the floor. But in case they use reverse repo in future, reverse repo rate would be slightly lower than SDF. Got it? Now let me take this online doubts. सर बैंक बोले कि नहीं मेरे को तो सिक्योरिटी चाहिए ही, तो क्या होगा? रिवर्स रेपो पे लेगा? नहीं, आरबीआई विल से आई एम नॉट टेकिंग योर डिपॉजिट देन if you need security for now because SDF is the mechanism. Okay, is bank rate equal to repo or MSF? No, bank rate is different. Please understand, bank rate is different from repo rate or MSF. Do we all understand what bank rate is? देखो, in case of repo rate, bank is taking a loan from RBI. In case of bank rate, bank rediscounts its securities. Now, what is meant by this? देखो, ऐसे समझो, suppose I'm explaining bank rate. So conventional method में there was bank rate, there was CRR, there was SLR. Non-conventional mechanism we have repo rate, reverse repo, MSF, and now we also have SDF. So what is bank rate? Bank rate is this. Let's say I'm a bank. I have some government securities with me, where government was giving me an interest rate of 8%. The government said, "Hey, you give me." Let's say this is a security of 1 crore. 1 crore. So government will say, you give me 92 lakh for now, and 1 year later I'll give you 1 crore rupees. So a discount कितना है? 8% का. Discount is of 8%. Now this bank has this security. Now suppose bank needs money. Bank needs money right now. It cannot wait for 1 year. So it can go to RBI and say ki, bhai, keep this security. You get the money from bank in future. Rediscount it. So I gave bank 92 lakh. You give me 94. And in some times you get 1 crore rupees from the bank. So this is not a loan as such. Loan mein you were giving security as a collateral. This is, you have sold your security. You have got your security rediscounted. So repo rate and bank rates are different things. Okay, people may use it synonymously, but they are different altogether. Repo rate mein you just give your security as collateral. Did we understand this? Okay. तो ये डाउट इज डन. सर पीएमपी में हिस्ट्री मॉड्यूलर कोर्स मिल सकता है क्या? अरे यार देखो, फॉर यू स्टूडेंट्स जो हमारे करंट अफेयर्स प्रोग्राम का पार्ट है, सपोज हिस्ट्री मॉड्यूलर कोर्स आपको 4000 रुपीज में मिलेगा. सपोज दैट इज द सिनेरियो, राइट? फॉर यू पीपल इट्स ऑलरेडी 40% ऑफ है वहां पे. इन 7000 समथिंग यू कैन गेट द एंटायर प्रोग्राम. अदर स्टूडेंट्स शुड बी थिंकिंग ऑफ टेकिंग मॉड्यूलर कोर्स. पीएमपी में करंट अफेयर्स स्टूडेंट्स आर 40% ऑफ, राइट? तो the history modular course may come somewhere in April, but if you are a current affairs student, Priyank, I know you are a current affairs student, so you should take the entire program rather than going for the modules. आप history के लिए module ले लोगे, आप economy के लिए module ले लोगे, that will not serve a purpose. Sir, please explain SDF again. अभिजीत भी, अरुण भी. यार मैं इतना अच्छा नहीं हूं, पर फिर भी देखो, बैंक्स डिपॉजिट मनी विथ आरबीआई एंड दे गेट इंटरेस्ट फ्रॉम आरबीआई. दैट इज टिल अप्रैल 2022 दैट वाज यूजिंग रिवर्स रेपो. So basically what used to be reverse repo, अगर बैंक has deposited let's say 100 crore rupees with आरबीआई, बैंक ने आरबीआई को 100 crore rupees दिए, and let's say reverse repo rate was 3.4%. Let's say this is the scenario. So what interest rate, when you deposit money with bank, you get interest rate. What interest rate, what deposit rate which will RBI give to bank? It used to be reverse repo. Now that will be SDF. रिवर्स रेपो नहीं, अब वो एसडीएफ रेट होगा. ये बात समझ में आई? नाउ देयर आर डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन रिवर्स रेपो एंड एसडीएफ. रिवर्स रेपो में व्हेन बैंक वाज गिविंग 100 crore rupees टू आरबीआई, आरबीआई यूज्ड टू गिव गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी एज कोलेटरल. तो आरबीआई कुड नॉट टेक अ लॉट ऑफ मनी इफ इट डिड नॉट हैव अ लॉट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज. नाउ आरबीआई अब डायरेक्टली गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी प्राइमरी मार्केट से नहीं खरीदता है. डू वी अंडरस्टैंड दिस? Okay, so RBI will only buy it from the secondary market. So there may be a situation RBI does not have enough government security. So we have said कि this mechanism से अच्छा है ये वाला mechanism, where borrowing RBI is taking in money using SDF mechanism, where security will also not be given. Oh sorry, where collateral will also not be given. Okay, I hope you understood this. Okay, let's now go to SDF is understood. Let's now go to, so see, ये जो हमने बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स बताए ना अभी, बैंक रेट, एसएलआर, सीआरआर, रेपो, रिवर्स रेपो, एसडीएफ, एमएसएफ. एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन वुड बी लाइक इफ सीआरआर इंक्रीजेस व्हाट विल हैपन टू लिक्विडिटी. अगर सीआरआर बढ़ गया, कैश रिजर्व रेशियो बढ़ गया, व्हाट वुड हैपन? बैंक्स विल हैव टू डिपॉजिट मोर मनी विद द आरबीआई. Bank will be left with less money to give loan, right? So these are also mechanisms to control quantity of money in the economy. In all these interest rates, be it bank rate, be it SLR, in all these बैंक रेट और CRR, SLR, these interest rate, repo rate, reverse repo rate, SDF, MSF, अगर इन सबको आप बढ़ाओगे, if you increase the ratios, if you increase the interest rate, there would be less money in the economy. So at the time of inflation, we tend to increase them. जैसे अभी when inflation increase, government RBI increase CRR by 0.5%. Banks do not like CRR because CRR में उनका वो 4-5% पैसा फंस जाता है. They do not even get interest. Banks are okay with SLR because in SLR at least they'll buy government securities, तो उसमें interest rate मिल रहा है, and then they will keep that government security separately in their vault. अच्छा, SLR में there's one more thing, you do not necessarily have to give money to RBI, you can keep it in your vault with you, but that has to be kept separately. Okay, did we get this? Now, Imtiaz, the bank rate is the rate of interest which the RBI provides to different facility to the commercial banks. Are first class securities which are highly rated, जैसे government securities, no risk at all, it will be considered high class security. ऐसे ही there may be other organizations whose securities may be given higher rating, those would be. Now, सर मेरा डाउट भी देख लीजिए. अंजलि कहाँ हो तुम? अंजलि का डाउट है, अच्छा ऊपर है. सर FY17 में 2.8%, FY18 में 2.6% कैपिटल एक्सपोर्ट है, देन इंक्रीज होता गया तो भी कंटिन्यूसली इंक्रीज तो नहीं करेंगे. अच्छा, यस, इट वोंट बी कंसिडर्ड. नहीं, ओके. अंजलि हैज अ क्वेश्चन कि सर लेट्स से अंजलि, लेट मी रीफ्रेम दिस. Let's say GDP growth rate was 2.8% in this year, first year, it becomes 2.6% in this year, it becomes 2.9% in this year. So will we say that GDP is continuously growing? So yes, GDP is continuously growing. हर साल बढ़ रहा है ना थोड़ा थोड़ा, but GDP growth rate is not continuously increasing. GDP growth rate has reduced, then it has went up. Okay, I hope Anjali, your doubt is clear. Growth rate and that particular thing is differentiate between them. Sir, is there any difference between MSF and LAF? तुम लोग ना इसे बेसिक इकोनॉमी की क्लास बना दो भाई. देखो, LAF के अंदर लिक्विडिटी एडजस्टमेंट फैसिलिटी व्हिच RBI provides, this is the mechanism by these are the various mechanisms used by RBI to control liquidity. इसके अंदर we have repo, reverse repo, MSF, and now along with reverse repo we also have SDF. So reverse repo has in a way for operational purpose for now has been replaced by SDF. देखो, लिक्विडिटी एडजस्टमेंट फैसिलिटी का कोई इंटरेस्ट रेट नहीं होगा, इसके अंदर जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स हैं वो, तो MSF रेपो रेट से बैंक विल बी एबल टू बोरो मनी फॉर शॉर्ट टर्म 2 to 14 days, but if you need money overnight for a day only, then you will have to go by MSF mechanism. Sir, SDF money can be used in SLR. हाँ बताया तो अभी while teaching SDF I told you कि SDF money can be used for SLR. SDF deposits can be used for SLR calculations. Okay. Now, money supply. Let's come to money supply. Let's understand money supply. थोड़ा in fact, see, in books there are hundreds of different definitions of money supply. Even when I was teaching economy, abhi मैं PMP में when I was teaching basics of economy, I had given them that complex definition. But Economic Survey of India has simplified it. So let us first understand what are the various definitions of money supply, and then we'll understand what has happened to them. Economic Survey of India is talking about what has happened to them. But as I told you, what has happened to them is important. But at the same time, more important is that we understand these concepts. Because in exam, in prelims, questions would be mostly from the basic concepts. So first of all, let's understand what is reserve money. Reserve money is also called high powered money or the base money. Madman is saying, सर एक इकोनॉमी बेसिक्स का ओल्ड क्लास ही यूट्यूब पे डाल दीजिए. लेवल अप का नाम चेंज के यूट्यूब कर देते हैं. थोड़ा इसको समझ लेते हैं। देखो, रिजर्व मनी इज द बेस मनी और हाई पावर्ड मनी. दिस इज द मनी विच आरबीआई हैज क्रिएटेड and has made available. The base money that RBI has made available in the market. Because of multiplier effect, overall money supply may be higher. But this is the basic money. So currency in circulation, the money that is in circulation, plus bankers deposit with RBI. Banks, SLR, CRR और बाकी फॉर्म्स में डिपॉजिट कर रहे हैं आरबीआई को पैसे. दिस मनी इज द money which is in circulation, and then bankers deposit with RBI is the base money which RBI has in a way released. This is the base money on which economy is functioning. Now see, Economic Survey of India has given these two components, but if you read books, you'll find some more things. For example, they'll also say that other deposits with RBI also are also included in the definition of base money. जिन लोगों ने पीएमपी में पढ़ा था उन्हें पढ़ा है other deposits with RBI, where other NBFCs, non-financial, non-banking financial companies, when they deposit money with RBI, that will also be considered. But उस complication में नहीं जाएंगे. Simply, what is the base money? Base money ऐसे समझो, RBI currency print कर रहा है. RBI is printing currency, and RBI then is withdrawing older currencies. So the net currency which RBI has printed, that is the liability of RBI. On a currency it is written, मैं धारक को इतने पैसे अदा करने का वचन देता हूं. I promise to give the, धारक को क्या बोलते हैं, bearer, this much money. So that is the liability of RBI. Did we understand this? Are we clear about it? So this is base money. So what has happened to the base money? Reserve money has increased by 10.3% as on December 2022. Reserve money, the base money which is available in the economy, has gone up by 10.3% compared to 13% last year. But this has increased much larger last year. So 2020-21 से 2021-22 में base money had increased by 13%. 2021-22 से 2022-23 में base money has increased by 10.3%. Increase in M0 or base money is mainly driven by bankers deposit with RBI. CRR 5% से बढ़ा ना, RBI, banks had to deposit a lot of money with RBI, 0.5% with RBI, with an increase in CRR. Currency in circulation has broadly remained stable. So currency in circulation, RBI has not like brought in more money in the economy as such, but this bankers deposit with RBI has increased, and because of this, base money M0 has increased. This financial year, at least till December 2023, it has increased. Now, what is narrow money and what is broad money? देखो, narrow money again they have given, because broad money का उन्होंने बहुत simple definition दिया है. What is narrow money? What is broad money? पहले let's understand broad money. Broad money is currency which is there with public, plus banks के पास जो demand deposits है and time deposits है, both. So to understand this, currency in circulation which we may be having some cash. Other than that, like I right now may be having some few thousand rupees in my wallet and then 150 rupees at my home, right? This is currency in circulation. So currency in circulation with all of us would be included in currency in circulation. Then we have deposit with bank. I may have some of the money in current account. अच्छा, current account individual का नहीं होगा, in saving account. I may have some of the money in saving account, which I can withdraw very easily. Then I may have some money in the FDs, which is time deposit. 1 year का FD है, so it cannot be withdrawn that easily. So when we talk about narrow money, broad money, narrow money में we have currency in circulation plus this. In broad money we also include time deposit. In broad money, we also include time deposit. Sachin Kumar is asking on the message, Tarun भैया गेट का लॉक कैसे खुलेगा भाई? Sachin is saying, sir Tarun को बुलाओ. Huh? Is there any Tarun in the class? अब बताएगा भाई, तरुण डर गया है. क्या चल रहा है? भाई तुम गलत लाइव सेशन में तो नहीं आ गए ना, यहाँ कोई तरुण नहीं है, तरुण तुम्हें क्लास बोल के डेट पे गया। कम बैक टू दिस। तो नाउ टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस व्हाई दिस मनी वुड बी, पहले ना वो समझ लेते हैं नैरो मनी। बेस मनी वी अंडरस्टैंड, बेस मनी इज इन अ वे, बहुत क्रूड वे में, is the money which RBI has made available in the economy for economy to run. Money which RBI has made available in the economy for economy to run, base money or high powered money. Now when we say कि base money है, उससे money supply कितना है, how much is the money supply in the economy? तो money supply in the economy is currency in circulation, पहला component money supply का ये है। Now we are talking about this narrow money, M1 समझते हैं, currency in circulation plus demand deposit with bank. Demand deposit is the money which may be in current account, which may be in saving account, the money which you can withdraw very easily. Now you would ask, hey sir, how can this money be much larger than what is the money that has been supplied in the by RBI? ये ज्यादा कैसे होगा? Now please understand this. Let's say I have 100 rupees with me. I kept 10 rupees with myself and 90 rupees went to deposit, my bank deposit. So what is my deposit with the bank? 90 rupees. But of that 90 rupees, you may go and take loan. Bank आपको loan दे देगा. After putting in some of this money for CLR, CRR, SLR, bank will give you loan. But what is my deposit? My deposit is still 90. So my deposit calculation would still 90, but when he borrows 70 rupees from it, इसके हाथ में पैसा आ गया 70. Now think of how much is money supply, currency in circulation, 10 rupees, इसके पास भी कुछ पैसे होंगे, plus my deposit 90, पैसा बढ़ गया, aggregate deposit बढ़ गया. He may deposit some of the money in some other bank account. He may deposit some of the money in some other bank account. So now aggregate deposit is my deposit 90 rupees plus his deposit, let's say he deposits 40 rupees. Did we understand? So money supply is different from the base money or the high powered money. Did we understand this? Are we sure about it? Okay. So narrow money is currency with public plus aggregate, demand deposit. Broad money is currency with public plus demand deposit and both time deposit. So generally when we say what is the money multiplier, उस केस में we divide broad money with base money, broad money with the reserve money. This gives us money. Now, so what has happened to reserve money? Reserve money has gone up. Last year reserve money has gone up. Do we understand what reserve money is? Are we clear about it? तो देखो एक क्वेश्चन आया था एग्जाम में कि if you withdraw 100 rupees from your bank account, है ना, they had asked about कि money supply कैसे affect होगा, but for now let's say the question is if you withdraw 100 rupees from your bank account, what will happen to reserve money? Nothing would happen. Please note, currency in circulation plus bankers deposit with RBI, has any of this changed? Immediately nothing would occur. Did we understand this? In long term, what may happen? In long term, देखो bankers deposit with RBI में change, because bank का liability change हुआ, percentage में change, a lot of things, but immediately nothing would happen. Now come to broad money, M3. What has happened to broad money? Increased by 8.7% year on year as on December 2022. Broad money has increased. From component side, aggregate deposit has been the largest component and contributed most to the expansion of M3 in FY23. So demand deposit and time deposit बढ़े हैं, इसकी वजह से aggregate deposit has gone up and that is how broad money has gone up. Among sources, bank rate to commercial sectors drove the expansion of broad money. Did I explain you? If bank will give more loans, broad money would multiply. My deposit and then bank has given loan, someone will use that money, more money in the economy, and then that person may again deposit some of the money. So more credit to the market will increase the money supply. So among sources, bank credit to the commercial sectors drove the expansion of broad money and the net bank credit to the government supplemented the expansion. Okay, share of banks credit to commercial sector. Now this is also an important situation. This also tells you how well an economy is doing. if banks are giving more and more loan to commercial sector, it means things are good, businesses are running. So state of bank credit to commercial in M3 increased to 64.3% as on 30th December 2022 from 61.1% in the corresponding period of the previous year. So share of bank credit to commercial sector of all the loans which bank give, उसमें से commercial sector को कितना पैसा गया है? 64% पैसा has gone to commercial sector when compared to 61% last year. तो general idea कि we are giving more loans to commercial sector. Now Payal is asking, sir, M1 तो बढ़ा ना, if 100 rupees is written. Beta, please understand this. Suppose I'm the only person in the economy, है ना? I had 100 rupees, उसमें से 90 I deposited, 10 I have. So money with me and 90 rupees here. 90 plus 10, 100 rupees हो गया. If I withdraw 50 rupees, बैंक में I'm left with 40 rupees. यहाँ पे I have 60 rupees. So M1 did not change. Immediately it did not change. Immediately it did not change. In long term it may change because of this action. Immediately what happens? Immediately what is M1? M1 is this. Currency with public plus demand deposit. Do not M1 में time deposit M1 में time deposit नहीं आएगा, M3 में आएगा time deposit. So M1 is currency with public plus demand deposit. Now currency with public plus demand. If from demand deposit I withdraw some money, demand deposit has reduced, but currency with public has increased, and therefore no impact. We will हमने इसे PMP की क्लास में बहुत डिटेल में पढ़ा है, but in current affairs class we'll be solving a lot of questions on these. हम ना कम से कम 25-30 क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करेंगे ऑन दिस टॉपिक टू इंश्योर दैट ईच एंड एवरीथिंग व्हिच हैज बीन आस्क्ड इन द एग्जामिनेशन उसका बेसिक्स आपका स्ट्रांग हो. ठीक है, तो अभी अगर नहीं, इफ यू हैवंट स्टडीड इट टिल नाउ, प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट बाय 10th 15th फरवरी यू डू दैट, बिकॉज 15th 20th फरवरी के आसपास हम इसके एमसीक्यूज करना भी शुरू कर देंगे, द 500 एमसीक्यूज दैट वी वांट टू डू फॉर इकोनॉमी. ओके, प्लीज इंश्योर दैट वो पढ़ा हुआ है. Sir, when we say fiscal deficit 6.6% of the GDP, so we are considering GDP of FY23 only, right? Huh. See, when we say fiscal deficit is 6. What is the fiscal deficit this year? 6.4% of GDP. So we'll say how much we had to borrow this year and how much is the GDP for this year. उसी के लिए, I mean every year fiscal deficit is in respect of that year's GDP. Yes, that is that year's GDP. ओके सर, खुल गया गेट, थैंक्स फॉर द अनाउंसमेंट. ये अलग ही मोड में सचिन. ये मनी सप्लाई को क्या हुआ, अंडरस्टूड. नाउ डेवलपमेंट इन गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज मार्केट. सी, गवर्नमेंट इश्यूज सिक्योरिटी एंड बोरोज मनी फ्रॉम द मार्केट, ये हमें पता है. तो द यील्ड ऑफ 10-year गवर्नमेंट बॉन्ड रोज इन 2022. इन द ईयर 2022 गवर्नमेंट जो 10 साल के बॉन्ड इशू करती है, 10 साल की गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी इशू करती है, उसका यील्ड वेंट अप. इट मींस फॉर गवर्नमेंट बोरोइंग मनी बिकम्स एक्सपेंसिव. यील्ड बढ़ने का मतलब इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ जाना. तो व्हेन गवर्नमेंट विल इशू सिक्योरिटी, इट विल हैव टू पे हायर इंटरेस्ट रेट. यील्ड बढ़ना इज नॉट गुड फॉर गवर्नमेंट, बट व्हेन इंटरेस्ट रेट इन इकोनॉमी एसेट्स गो अप, रिवर्स रेपो रेट ये सब बढ़ेगा, देयर विल बी लेस मनी इन द इकोनॉमी, less people will be interested in buying government bond. Or if my FD rates have increased, I'll put money in FD rather than buying government debt. If there is outflow of money from the economy, outflow of money, FPI पैसा बाहर लेके जा रहे, there will be less players available who will be buying bonds. Do we understand? So the yield of 10-year government bond rose in 2022. इसे कैसे, इसे रटना नहीं है, इसे याद, इसे समझना कैसे. इन जनरल इंटरेस्ट रेट हैज गॉन अप. I'm sorry. इन जनरल इंटरेस्ट रेट्स हैव गॉन अप, तो गवर्नमेंट की बोरोइंग का इंटरेस्ट रेट भी बढ़ेगा ना. बिजनेस को बोरोइंग करने के लिए इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ेगा, गवर्नमेंट को बोरो करने के लिए इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ेगा. दैट इज द होल आइडिया ऑफ इंक्रीजिंग इंटरेस्ट रेट, reducing money supply. Now you may ask, sir, money supply did not go down. You are saying money supply went up. Yes, it went up, but in comparison to what? If interest rate would not have been reduced, then money supply would have increased way more. Please understand this. Okay, so government yield going up means for government taking money becomes more expensive. So and that is logical also. In 2022 interest rate has gone up, so government ka ye has increased after remaining steady for 2020 and 2021. 2020-21 mein did we see the interest rates? They did not change, है ना? And therefore even for government उनको अच्छा yield मिल कम रेट पे मार्केट में पैसे मिल रहे थे. Are we getting this? Are we clear about it? Any doubts here? Trading volume of government securities, treasury bills as well as state developmental loans का reached a 2-year high of 27.7 lakh trading volume. Now see, trading volume is different from government yield of government bond. Yield of government bond में हम बात कर रहे हैं when government is borrowing money. When government is borrowing money, what is the interest rate they have to pay? Suppose government has borrowed money for 10 years. They sold the government security. I bought government security. It was in primary market. When I buy directly from government for the first time, this was the action which took place in primary market. But now the security will be given back, the money will be given back in 10 years. No, 1 year later I may need money. So in secondary market I can sell these bonds. So in here we are saying that trading volume of government securities reached a 2-year high. That is in secondary market. Sale purchase of these bonds are happening more of 27.7 lakh crore during Q2 FY3, registering a year-on-year growth. Higher trading volume reflect growing interest of market players in government securities. Now, see, there are advantages of investing in government securities. Government securities always compete with something like a stock market. You can invest money in stock market. You can invest money in bank, FD में. You can invest money in government security. Stock market is very risky. But when stock markets are going up, what happens? People get interested. Hey, easily paisa ban raha hai. So people do not invest in government securities which gives you fixed interest rate. Those interest rates are higher than FD interest rate, but are not as good as stock market returns. But last year stock market hasn't done well. Last year, because of high inflation, the money has been taken out by FPIs, right? They are not investing as much money as they generally invest in India. Stock market has not done well. So people in these conditions, in turbulent conditions, when there is lack of confidence on what is going to happen, people tend to invest more in government securities. Because वो तो 7.3% या जो भी interest rate होगा, that return would anyways be available. Are we clear about it? Did we understand this? Okay. Let's come to banking sector. A tone is saying, सर आप बोले थे कि नेक्स्ट क्लास में फर्स्ट बुकलेट के. हाँ यार, कल ना मैं बहुत थक, मतलब कल आपको बताया था ना मैंने, कल I didn't find time and else I would have found some time and would have made some questions. Now your next class, after today's class, your next class would be on Tuesday. मैंने बोला Tuesday Wednesday का आपको एक्स्ट्रा क्लास होगा, तो tomorrow I will have some time. I'll try to make a few questions from the first 4-5 chapters that we have done. Okay, so we'll do this. Pehle we will solve around 40-50 questions from the 5 chapters which we will finish by today. And after that we will start the 6th chapter, which is a pretty big chapter. Okay, now let's come back to this. What has happened to banking sector? So far we have when we studied chapter 1, 2, 3, we have seen that banking sector has improved in the last few years. Banking sectors have improved. When we were talking about why Indian economy is going to do well, one of the core reason was our banking sector has revived when compared to situation of 2017, 18, 19. The NPAs have reduced, banks are giving more credit, bank's balance sheet has improved, corporate balance sheet has also improved. We had studied all those aspects. This would also be visible here. The continuous efforts of RBI and government over the years have led to improvement in risk absorption capacity and balance sheet, both in terms of asset quality, quantity as well as quality. Asset quality is good, NPAs are lesser, and quantity, asset bhi zyada, jitne zyada loan doge utna zyada asset hoga, so asset has also gone up, asset quality has also improved. Why? What are the reasons? So strengthening of regulatory and supervisory framework. RBI has come up with a lot of mechanisms, PCA and all those mechanisms through which it has ensured that a better regulation is happening of the banking sector. Then government has also come up with the 4R strategy, where recognition, resolution, recapitalization and reform is taking place. What is this? Recognition dealt with the pehle ka, what used to happen earlier was an account is going to, do we understand what NPA is? When bank gives loan, that is an asset, but when that asset stops performing, what is meant by stop performing? Suppose bank has given loan to this person, 100 crore rupees of loan, and this person is supposed to pay EMI every month. This person is supposed to return, let's say, 1 crore rupees every month, which will have some principal amount and some interest as well. But when this person doesn't do it for 90 days continuously, he has missed the deadline by 90 days, then this asset of the bank can be declared as non-performing. This is non-performing asset. So earlier what used to happen was, whenever his asset was going to become NPA, I'll not recognize it as NPA. What I'll do, I'll give him some more loan, and using that money he will pay the older thing. But in long run, this is not the solution, right? But this is something that was happening with the banks, and our NPAs kept on increasing in long run. So under the 4R strategy, first we started recognizing that, bhai, these are all NPAs. And because of this recognition, NPAs spiked. Banks were hiding their NPAs by various mechanisms. NPAs spiked. Only when recognition happens, we go towards resolution. Resolution mein, there can be many mechanisms. Business control on his business can be taken by RBI, or sorry, by the bank. Assets could be sold, or some other person may be given responsibility to run this business. Recapitalization. Government paid or introduced lakhs of crores of rupees. एक ही बार में 70,000 crore rupees they had invested in government banks. That banks would have more capital. Otherwise, in the absence of capital, they would not have fulfilled the Basel norms conditions. They would not have fulfilled the NPA conditions. And then reform. How the loans would be given, who would control giving of loans, those aspects have been taken care of. Okay, so a lot of steps. This economic survey of India में बस इतना ही दिया है. But when we will study banking sector separately, we would study all these dimensions in more details over the years. What steps have been taken? We'll briefly cover all those things. In current affairs program, we'll cover all those things. Here, our focus is on covering everything which is there in economic survey of India, so that you do not have to go for that entire book and you understand each and every aspect in it. So, what has been the impact of all these steps? First is asset quality has gone up. NPAs have reduced. In fact, gross NPAs came down from 8.2% in March 2020 to 5.0% in September 2022. NPAs are reducing. In fact, net NPAs have also come down. They have come down to 1.3%. What is the difference between gross NPA and net NPA? Do we understand? Yes, no, कुछ तो बोलो. No. Okay. किसी को पता है ग्रॉस एनपीए नेट एनपीए में अंतर? देखो, जब बताइए. देखो, सपोज आई हैव गिवन हिम लोन, है ना, आई हैव गिवन हिम लोन, दैट लोन बिकेम एनपीए, दैट लोन बिकेम एनपीए. तो इन अ वे that loan can be something which I can keep showing in my account as a loan and it can remain an NPA, जो कि gross NPA में होता है. But in some situation what I can do, I can provide provisioning for it. I can provide provisioning. I have assumed that this is my loss. If this becomes profit in future, that's fine. But I have assumed this is my loss and I have provided provisioning for that loss. So in my net account, this NPA for which provisioning has been provided will not be included as NPA, and therefore net NPA is gross minus वो वाले NPAs जिसके लिए आपने provisioning provide कर दी. Sorry, lost asset. हाँ, actually उसे loss ही मान लेते हैं. When we do write off, हम उसे लॉस ही मान लेते हैं, बट इन लॉन्ग रन दैट मनी में एक्चुअली कम बैक. तो उस साल फॉर दैट ईयर वी वुड इंक्लूड इट एज प्रॉफिट. Okay, so gross NPAs have also gone down and net NPAs have also gone down. Now net NPAs are much lesser than gross NPAs, indicate that government is earning, our banks are earning a lot of money, and that's why they are able to provide for provisioning. They're able to provide for provisioning. Did we understand? So we are talking about banking situation. What has happened to banking sector? Banking sector has improved in terms of quality of asset. Quality is like how much percentage of your loan is NPA, how much percentage of that is non-NPA. That will determine the quality. Your asset, your loan is your asset. What is the quality? This is a bad quality asset. NPA अगर बन गए तो bad quality. Non-NPA वाले good quality assets. Non-NPAs there may be someone who has whose loan is pending, whose EMI is pending for 1 month. वो भी good quality में बेकार वाले में होगा. Right? So ऐसे asset quality has improved. CRAR of SCBs have also been rising sequentially. Now what is CRAR? What is CRAR? हाँ बताइए. Capital to risk weighted asset ratio. Capital to risk weighted asset ratio. Now इसे ऐसे समझो. Suppose I have 1 lakh rupees, and this is my capital with which I start a business. है ना? I have 1 lakh rupees with which I start a business. I start a bank, let's say. When I start a bank, there would be people who will be depositing money in my bank. There will be people who will be taking loans from my bank. If my capital is 1 lakh, next year if I earn profit, then this capital would go up. Initial capital was 1 lakh, but let's say next year मैं 1 lakh का more profit earn करूं, and I do not withdraw that profit in the form of dividend, then the capital next year will become 2 lakh. Okay. Do we have understanding of capital for now? There can be tier 1 capital, tier 2 capital. अभी उस detail में नहीं जाएंगे because Economic Survey of India is not discussing it. We will in current affairs we will discuss those things in more detail. We'll go through Basel norms पूरा. अभी के लिए इतना समझ में आया capital क्या है? Now understand this. Suppose my capital is 1 lakh only, and with this capital of 1 lakh, I have taken 100 crore rupees का deposit, and I have given, let's say, 75 crore का loan, and 25 has gone to RBI. SLR, CRR भी तो है ना? That will go to RBI. But if I've given 75 crore rupees का loan, and my capital is only 1 lakh, isn't this very risky? What if those loans which were worth of 2 crore rupees do not come back? Will my capital be able to compensate for that? No. Then how will I pay back these depositors? I won't be able to pay back these depositors. And therefore we say that with itna tuchchu sa capital, you do not run this big a business. So this is your asset. Capital to risk weighted asset ratio. What is your capital? And what is your risk weighted asset? What is your capital to risk weighted asset ratio? So if this capital to risk weighted asset ratio is large, it means you have large capital. That is good. But if this capital to risk weighted asset ratio is low, then its system is risky. So RBI is the regulator of bank. RBI says that नहीं आपको इतना तो कैपिटल टू रिस्क वेटेड एसेट रेशियो रखना पड़ेगा. जैसे आरबीआई सेज दैट योर कैपिटल टू रिस्क वेटेड एसेट रेशियो शुड बी 9.5%. एक बफर भी है तो टोटल दे से दैट इट शुड बी एटलीस्ट 11.5%. इट मींस लेट्स से 11.5%. डू वी अंडरस्टैंड? फॉर सिंप्लीफिकेशन पर्पस लेट्स से इट इज 10%. व्हाट डज इट मीन? इट मीन that your capital to risk weighted asset should be 10%. So if your capital is 1 lakh, your risk weighted asset can only be 10 lakhs. Not more than that. So aisa, your capital is 1 lakh and your asset is 75 crore, that would not be allowed. If capital to risk weighted asset ratio is 10%, it means if your capital is 1 lakh, your risk weighted asset can only be 10 lakhs. Did we understand CRAR? Capital to risk weighted asset ratio? है ना? We would as I've told you कि because यहाँ पे Economic Survey of India ही करना है तो we will not go into details of that. In current affairs we will cover it in more details. वहाँ जहाँ पे Basel norms के और भी बाकी सारे conditions, जैसे बफर बोल के मैं रुक गया We'll study those aspects also in more detail. Okay. Now, capital to risk weighted. So asset to be understood, 75 crore rupees ka asset. But what is this risk weighted asset? See, when this bank has given loans, it may have given loan to central government. It may have given loan to a creditor who has very good credit rating, who has always returned loan on time, whose business is doing very well. And then it may have given loan to Adani ji, Malia ji, और मोदी जी, नीरव मोदी जी. इनका रिस्क वेट ज्यादा है, राइट? तो risk associated with government would be zero. So if all the 75 crore rupees you have given to government in the government loan, so risk weight uska zero hai, no problem. But risk associated with them, with Nirav Modi, maybe let's say 200%. तो आपने इसे लोन 1 crore का दिया है, but risk weight, because its risk associated is 200%, so this will be considered as 2 crore for this risk weighted asset ratio calculation. Did we understand this? Are we clear about it? So capital to risk weighted asset ratio, if it's high, it's good, we have more capital to risk weighted asset ratio. If it's high, it means we have good enough capital. If it is low, we have bad capital situation. RBI says that 11.5% hona chahiye. Okay, so now let's come back to capital to risk weighted asset. So we are talking about what is happening with the banking sector. What has happened with the banking sector in last 1 year? We looked at GNPAs. What has happened with the GNPAs, right? What has happened to capital to risk weighted asset ratio? It has been rising sequentially in the post asset quality review period. Asset quality review is a mechanism which RBI had brought a few years back. Uske baad se capital to risk weighted asset ratio has kept on going up for India. It remains well above the minimum capital requirement. What is the minimum capital requirement? 11.5%. RBI का mandate ये है. It is well above that. So our NPAs are going down, our capital to risk weighted asset ratio is going up. Banking sector is doing well. Then increasing profitabilities of scheduled commercial banks. We're talking about what has happened to banking sector. Banking sector ka profitabilities have also gone up. Return on equity or return on asset is much better. In fact, it has gone up to what was the situation in FY15. Financial year 2014-15 mein banks had good profit and all. 16, 17, 18, these were bad years. So it has reached back that level. Macro stress test. So RBI keeps doing these macro stress tests, and SCBs are well, RBI ka test says that SCBs are well capitalized and that all banks would be able to comply with the minimum capital requirement even under adverse stress scenario. So banks are doing well. Banks are doing well. NPS के उसमें भी risk weighted asset ratio वाले mechanism में भी in terms of profit also they are doing well, and in RBI's micro stress test also they are doing well. In fact, because of all this, credit growth aided by sound banking system and deleveraged corporate. Credit growth has been aided, matlab credit growth has increased. If banks are doing well, they'll be able to give more loan. So banks are doing well plus deleveraged corporates. Corporate sector is also doing well. हमने बोला था why India's future is good, because banks are in good condition, corporate also has good balance sheet. Banks have good balance sheet, corporates also have good balance sheet, and therefore India's future looks bright. And here also we are talking about this, the year-on-year growth in non-food bank credit accelerated to 15.3% in December 2022. When compared to last year, the credit has increased by 15%. We do not have data for the entire year, but credit has increased. What is the reason? Banks are doing well, corporate sector is doing well. Now, एक यहाँ पे statement है, non-food bank credit has increased. What is non-food bank credit? देखो, Food Corporation of India may also take some loan. वो हटा दो. Food Corporation of India may take some loan. No, remove that loan. That may fluctuate depending on a lot of factors. Rest of the loan, non-food bank credit has increased by 15%. retail loans are driving the credit most primarily. So retail loans are also increasing, and primarily it's because of house loans. Homes and their demands have increased. COVID ke period mein it had become stagnant. Prices have also become stagnant. That has also increased. People are buying more. मैं भी ले लूं क्या? करूंगा क्या? रहता एक रूम में ही हूं. बांट दूंगा भाई. लोन लेके मैं घर लूं, वो बांट दूं. ये सोशल वर्क नहीं होता. इसे क्या बोलते हैं? बावलापन बोलते हैं. वो गाना सुना है ना, आदमी बावला है कुछ भी चाहता है. हाँ वही बोलते हैं. तो बैंकिंग सेक्टर, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग टू बैंकिंग सेक्टर? बैंकिंग सेक्टर इज डूइंग वेल. इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया के हिसाब से देयर GNPAs आर रिड्यूसिंग, देयर कैपिटल टू रिस्क वेटेड एसेट इज इंक्रीजिंग, हैज बीन केप्ट ऑन गोइंग अप, देयर प्रॉफिट हैज गॉन अप, एंड RBI के क्रेडिट टेस्ट में भी दे आर डूइंग वेल, एंड दैट इज व्हाई लोन्स आर हैव इंक्रीज्ड, नॉन फूड बैंक क्रेडिट हैज इंक्रीज्ड, एंड that is non-food bank credit is primarily pushed by the retail banker or retail customers who are taking a lot of loan for buying homes. Got it? Sab clear hai? Let's go to NBFCs. So NBFCs also, again, we are not going into a lot of details of NBFC, only the Economic Survey of India aspect. So NBFCs are also showing consistent rise of credit. Their GNPAs have also reduced from 7.2% in June 2021 to 5.9% in 2022. So their gross NPAs are also going down, and their capital to risk weighted asset ratio is 27%. Huge, very good. Capital to risk weighted asset ratio जितना ज्यादा होगा, GNPA कितना कम होगा, capital to risk weighted asset ratio जितना ज्यादा होगा, it's that good. Okay. Ayush is asking, sir, why did you not include post office deposit in money supply? What did I say? Let's simplify everything as per what Economic Survey of India has seen. तो वहां पे हमने Economic Survey of India ने जो डेफिनेशन दिया था सिर्फ वो इंक्लूड किया है ना. यूर राइट. पोस्ट ऑफिस देखो, जब हम मनी सप्लाई, अभी हमने M1 M3 बोला ना, मनी सप्लाई कैन बी M1 M2 M3 M4. M2 में M1 में व्हाट डिड वी इंक्लूड? वी इंक्लूड मनी विद पब्लिक प्लस डिमांड डिपॉजिट विद बैंक. M2 में मनी विद पब्लिक प्लस पोस्ट ऑफिस का डिमांड डिपॉजिट. M3 में मनी विद पब्लिक प्लस डिमांड डिपॉजिट विद बैंक प्लस टाइम डिपॉजिट विद बैंक. एंड M4 में पोस्ट ऑफिस का भी टाइम डिपॉजिट एंड डिमांड डिपॉजिट. बट this class is not about money supply, this class is about Economic Survey of India, and that's why I haven't included that. Sir, can old students of your current affairs classes can get some discount on prelims current affairs program? हाँ हाँ, old students के लिए हमेशा से ही डिस्काउंट है ना. I think 20-25% डिस्काउंट आप old students will get current affairs program में डिस्काउंट. Call the office number, you will be able to get discount. Okay, अच्छा एक और चीज है, some student has sent a mail or has written it somewhere कि he has been trying to meet Santosh Sir since last 15 days and कोई उन्हें मिलने नहीं दे. Don't you all have my number? Is there any student who doesn't have my number? अरे व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में हो ना सब, उसमें मैं हूं ओनर. वो देखो ओनर कौन है, वो मेरा ही नंबर है. तो वहां पे मुझे ही गरियाओगे तो मैं हूं वहां पे. ऐसे लोग जिनके पास नंबर नहीं है, ऐसे कैसे? ओके, यू डोंट हैव माय नंबर. अच्छा, नॉट पार्ट ऑफ व्हाट्सएप. तो टेलीग्राम ग्रुप में भी तो हूं, वहां पे भी रिप्लाई करता हूं मैं. क्या बात कर रहे हैं? अबे टेलीग्राम ग्रुप पे इतने सारे मैसेज आते हैं, उनका रोज रिप्लाई करता हूं मैं. अच्छा, टारगेट प्रीलिम्स ग्रुप. ओहो, okay. I don't know why that. Acha, I'll do this after this class on WhatsApp group and on Telegram group. I will send my number. तो कोई भी issue होता है ना, अब like yesterday after class, someone who was not my student, that person sat with me for around 40 minutes and my own. हाँ, that student had come with the question paper और मैंने उसका पूरा question paper का analysis किया, and वो student भी नहीं है, and my own students are telling me they're not able to meet me. ऐसे कैसे? So I'll after this class I'll share I'll send my number on all the groups, Telegram group, WhatsApp group. Please आप सेव करके रख लीजिए, and कोई भी प्रॉब्लम होता है ना, send me, don't call me. कॉल नहीं, सेंड मी अ व्हाट्सएप मैसेज और टेलीग्राम मैसेज, जब भी मुझे टाइम मिलेगा आई विल गेट बैक टू यू। ऐसा कैसे 15 डेज से नहीं मिल पा रहा है कोई? ये तो क्लास के बाद मिल लो, आपको क्लास का शेड्यूल भी पता है। एनीवेज लेट्स कम बैक टू दिस। तो एनबीएफसीज में भी सिचुएशन इज गोइंग अप। व्हाट हैज हैपेंड टू इंसॉल्वेंसी एंड बैंक्रप्सी कोड? तो आरबीआई सॉरी इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया is giving updates about insolvency and bankruptcy code, and they are saying that 67% of the cases have been closed. So IBC was started, it started functioning on first of this. So do we understand what is IBC, insolvency and bankruptcy code? Okay, so IBC started functioning on 1st of December 2016. अब से it has had 5893 CRIPs. What is CIRPs? Corporate Insolvency Resolution processes. Of this, 3946 or 67% have been closed. Remaining 1947 are ongoing. जो closed हुए हैं उसमें some of them went to the appeal, then got closed. Some of them got withdrawn. Some of them went for liquidation. Liquidation means suppose I was the person who lent him money. He was running business, but he was not able to return my money on time. So I started this corporate insolvency resolution process, and the regulator said, "Bhai, you sell your assets, you liquidate your assets." So now, if he had not liquidated his asset and he had kept it pending for 5 years, then value of asset would have also gone down. Then the recovery would have been much lesser. So 1800 of them have gone for liquidation also, and 553 through resolution plans. What is resolution plan? In resolution plan, what happens is, let's say this business is there. This person may come up with, right now I'm not able to pay loan, but this is my resolution plan. Or some other creditors may come up with, so we will study this in detail in IBC. So some resolution plans se bhi this has been taken care of. Okay. Not only this, Economic Survey of India says that insolvency and bankruptcy code has brought a lot of behavioral change. Now people who are taking loans, they are more inclined to pay it in a timely manner. Pay it in a timely manner. Why? Because now the creditors, जिन्होंने लोन दिया है ना, they have also been empowered that they can get the insolvency resolution process initiated. Corporate insolvency resolution. तो जिन्होंने लोन लिया है, they know that if I do not pay loan in a timely manner, then CIRP may be initiated against me. So their behavior has also changed, and they are paying back money in a timely manner. Economic Survey of India is also talking about this thing. Then 69% of the, so ye how IBC has performed, so they are saying that 69% of the distressed asset rescued, realization of around 178% of the liquidation value. So they are saying that 69% of the distressed asset which was distressed, they have been rescued. Either उनका business वापस शुरू हो गया or by some other mechanism. And if we had liquidated it, if we had sold everything, उससे ज्यादा पैसे, around 178% money has been, 178% of the liquidation value has been got. 92% of the value realized under liquidation process. When we have gone for the process of liquidation, तो जो value था उसका 92% has been realized. IBC has also recovered highest amount of scheduled commercial bank. So scheduled commercial bank can go for SARFAESI mechanism, they can go for Lok Adalat mechanism, they can go for debt recovery tribunal mechanism. IBC is one of the mechanisms. In Economic Survey of India says that IBC has been the most effective, fruitful mechanism. IBC has been able to return them, has been able to get bank more money than any other mechanism. Got it? Clear hai? So now, again, insolvency and bankruptcy code, because Economic Survey of India had dealt with it in a short manner, they had not gone into what is the code, what is the process. We are not covering it. In the current affairs section, we will do it in more details. We will explain you the code and various aspects associated with it. What has happened to the capital market? Capital market was stock exchange and commodity exchange. So, Economic Survey of India, we are talking about what has happened to that. So, देखो, globally what has happened? Inflation has gone up. Inflation has gone up. Money supply has reduced. Again, now think of this. Let's say I give you 1 crore. Suppose I have 1 crore rupees. I have 1 crore rupees and kar do kabhi. I should have 1 crore. I have 1 crore rupees. Let's say that is the scenario. Now that 1 crore rupees, interest rate in banks are very low. I can put this money in interest rate of in bank deposits. I can put this money in government debt, or I can put this money in stock equities. ये 3 सिनेरियो है मेरे पास. बैंक डिपॉजिट्स रिस्क फ्री. आई नो कि इतना 4%, 5%, 6%, whatever is the interest rate, I'll get. है ना? That is kind of risk free, but return is much lesser. I would feel कि यार inflation is more than that. In a way, I'm losing money by depositing it in the bank. I may go for government bonds wala mechanism, but there also it's risk free. It's risk free, but liquidity is not as good as bank wala. Bank say I could have withdrawn money easily, and I'm more used to bank. A lot of people do not go for government securities mein investment because they do not know about it. Otherwise, government security is also a good mechanism. Then there is stock market. Stock market is risky. Stock market is risky, but the return is higher. Now come to the situation. Suppose I have 1 crore rupees. Suppose I have 1 crore rupees. There's a situation when bank interest rate is 4%. I'll be like, yeah, what is the point of putting money here? When in a way, real return is zero or negative because inflation is much higher. When bank government bond yield is less, yield less hona matlab government will have to pay lesser interest. In this scenario, I would be more interested in going to stock market or the security market. है ना? ये bond वाला भी वैसे security market ही होता है, but it's less risky. That's why I have in this I have differentiated between them. Now consider that situation where interest rate has gone up. Today's situation, interest rate has gone up. So in 2020-21, when interest rate was very less, people would have gone for stock market more. Stock market was booming. If I open you the, let's say, BSE index, and I show you what has happened to it. BSE index. Let's look at last 5 years. 5 years. Let's look at last 5 years. You see, 2020 say roughly to 2022, it kept on going up because banks में interest rate बहुत कम है. Not only in India, all over the world. So there the investors are like, what is the point of putting money in bank in US? Let's invest it in the stock market. They were investing money in stock market. But when interest rate go up, जब interest rate बढ़ता है, in that situation what would happen? If I have money, I'll feel like, let me keep some money in bank. Here also interest rate is okay. है ना? Money supply for stock market would go down, and there what would happen? Stagnancy या downfall होगा. इंडिया में इतना downfall नहीं हुआ. See, 2022 से 2023 तक we went down a bit. Russia-Ukraine war and a lot of problems occurred, but it didn't go that much down. We'll help you understand why is it so. But if we go to some other index, for example, let's say go to Nasdaq index. Nasdaq एक US का index है where around 50% of the companies are technology companies. And look at it. Let's go to 5 years and see what has happened to them. 2020-21 में 20 में तो because COVID came, no one knew what is going to happen. It crashed. People withdrew their money because they did not know businesses बंद हो जाएंगे, हमारे सारे पैसे डूब जाएंगे. They did not know this. Are we getting it? It kept on going up till 2022. But then interest rate started increasing. So I would be like, let me keep money in the banks. Government bond yield also started increasing with interest. Let me keep money in government bonds. And are we getting this? Are we able to correlate, connect all these, like economy? That's why I say economy is very easy. Economy questions are very easy. जितने to like with how many I may have sat with many students and with their paper analysis, with their prelims paper analysis, and most of the time I say ki you make mistakes in complicated economy things, factual things, but never make mistakes in the basic concept, because it's so easy, so universal, it's so logical. If you are making mistakes there, then you are affecting your chances of getting selected, not because of complicated difficult questions. Got it? ये बात समझ में आई है? Okay. So come back to, let me close it. Let me just minimize it. Development in capital market. What has happened in capital market? I have roughly shown you what has happened. Primary market equity. तो देखो now capital market you can divide it in primary market and then secondary market. Primary market में when a company issues security for the first time, जैसे recently LIC ने अपना IPO किया, initial public offering, it said it has these many shares, do you want to buy? And people will come and buy those shares and the money will go to LIC. Now let's say I bought 50,000 rupees worth of LIC shares. Let's say वो scenario है. Tomorrow I need money. I cannot go back to LIC and say, give me my money back, take this shares. No. Then I'll have to go to secondary market. For example, on Bombay Stock Exchange. I'll go and sell those shares. He may be there. He would say, I'll buy it in 45,000 rupees or in 55,000 rupees. If he buys it in 55,000 rupees, I have 10% of capital gain. If he buys it in 45,000 rupees, I have 10% of capital loss. Are we understanding this? So primary market, equity में क्या हुआ primary market में? Equity में we'll talk about how many IPOs occurred, right? So the large number of small and medium enterprises came out with their public offer, and overall fund mobilization has been lesser. But it's when large companies come with IPOs, no, they will mobilize more fund. When smaller companies come with IPOs, it would be lesser. So 2021 was a year when a lot of companies had come for IPOs. For example, you must be knowing about Paytm. Paytm का IPO उस साल हुआ था, Zomato का IPO उस साल हुआ था, नाइका that लिपस्टिक वाली कंपनी, नहीं कॉस्मेटिक्स वाली कंपनी, कॉस्मेटिक्स, नाइका का IPO उस साल हुआ था, and they were huge big IPOs. इस साल हुआ है India's largest IPO LIC, but that is among the very few large companies which has gone for IPO. FY23 was the large, but FY23 saw the largest IPO ever in the history of India. In May 2022, the central government diluted its stake in LIC. So overall, IPOs have happened, but for smaller companies, the overall mobilization of resources have been lesser. Debt, when government bonds you are buying, when government issues bonds and you are giving money to government, their government is not showing you get ownership of India, 5% ownership of India. You are not getting equity. You are giving debt. And now what has happened to the debt market? Under activity in public debt issuance. Government debt issue में under activity है, more than compensated by private debt placement. But private sector is going for this debt more. What are you saying? In first half of financial year 2023, first half means 1st of April 2022 to 31st September. September में 31st होगा क्या? 30 September 2022. This is financial year 23 का first half. In the first half of financial year 2023, the amount of resource mobilized by the issuance of debt security in the primary market increased by 5% when compared to last year. But under activity in public debt issuance, government ने इतने debt issue नहीं किए हैं, was more than compensated by private debt issue. Private sector, commercial sector, companies अपने bonds वगैरह issue कर सकते हैं. Those that happened here. Are we clear about it? Are we understanding this? सबको समझ में आ रहा है? Okay. क्या? Under activity in public debt issues, public debt, government इतने debt issue नहीं कर रहा है, इतने bonds issue नहीं कर रहा है, security issue नहीं कर रहा है. But फिर भी there is an increase of 5% in the debt market because private sector is, companies अपने bonds लेके आती है ना. जैसे अभी आपने सुना होगा अदानी के bonds are being rejected by banks. So Adani also raised money from the market. Adani could have done it by going for shares. But he didn't do that. He took more and more loans. He kept on owning most of the shares. And this was, in the past also, this was considered to be not the right path. You should be able to give up some shares and then get more money for the company rather than the otherwise. Anyways, did we understand this? What has happened to the debt market? So this was primary market. Let's come to secondary market. Secondary market, LIC ने जब पहली बार IPO किया, when it did IPO, in that situation, it got money from people, money from businesses, and gave them their shares. Now, those shares would be traded in secondary market in future. So what has happened to the secondary market? Indian stock market witnessed a resilient performance. हमने भी दिखाया था BSE 2022 में, in spite of the fact that interest rate is going up and everything. From April to 2022 to December 2022, global stock market declined. Did we saw Nasdaq right now? 2022 mein, it's going down like anything. But in case of India, that's not the case. Nifty registered a return of 3.7%. Nifty 50, BSE था, BSE में 30 companies हैं. Nifty 50 में there would be 50 companies, 50 largest companies of India, which are public companies of India. So Nifty 50 registered a return of 3.7%. Nifty 50 US dollar adjusted. US dollar adjusted में ये होता है कि someone from US or when they have invested in India, though Nifty has returned 3.7%, but rupee depreciation इतना ज़्यादा हो गया कि return for US dollar people may be lesser. So for Nifty US dollar adjusted, it is minus 4.7%, but still only minus 5% reduction. But if you go to global market, US S&P 500 average index declined by 15%. Nasdaq composite, we just saw Nasdaq composite, it has gone down by 50%. Towards, sorry, it has gone down by 26%, I'm sorry, not by 50%. 50% उनका weightage है. Nasdaq में जो companies हैं, उनमें 50% are technology companies, उनका 26% decline हुआ है. So what is it showing? Indian market में इतना decline नहीं हुआ, global market में decline हुआ है. It shows that Indian market is more resilient. Okay, well, I will explain you the reason for it. So retail participation in capital market, equity market, bond market, these are all capital market. Retail मतलब individuals जो है, retail players. There may be institutions. जैसे LIC government bonds खरीद रहा है, that is an institutional investor, domestic institutional investor. When we talk about retail investors, it's people like us who have lesser money. When a mutual fund company is investing, mutual fund is an institutional investor. Insurance company is an institutional investor. Provident fund वाली जो companies होंगी, pension वाली companies, those would be institutional investors. Are we getting this? So retail participation in the capital market, share of individual investors in cash segment marginally reduced. However, the number of demat accounts rose sharply, around 40% higher than November 2022. By the end of November 2020 compared to last year, the number of demat accounts which have been created has increased. वो share of individual investors in cash thing may have reduced slightly थोड़ा, because now 2022 में stock market is not giving that much return. We saw that, so people are reluctant. 2020 एक बार जो decline हुआ उसके बाद आपने jump देखा था. Everyone wanted to invest in stock market. Everyone was like, if I had invested 1 lakh rupees, it would have become 2 lakh rupees because of the run it had. But that was a temporary bull run. Now we are going through a phase of consolidation or a decline. Okay. A commodity derivative market, sharp correction on account of monetary tightening. Commodity market में भी monetary tightening की वजह से there has been decline. Mutual fund witnessed lower net inflows. What are mutual funds? जैसे mutual funds में for a person like me, it won't be possible for me to track stock market mein what is happening, what is not happening. So what I'll do, I'll choose some mutual fund company and I'll pay them some money. This mutual fund company will get money from a lot of people and then they would invest. They would earn profit and that profit would be distributed among us. So what are we saying here? Mutual fund witnessed lower net inflow. Even in mutual funds, people are not investing that much. Despite that, mutual fund industry assets under management may have gone up. इसको समझाते हैं. But mutual funds saw overall reduction in the net inflow. Mutual fund witnessed lower net inflows in April to November 2022 when compared to April to November 2021. कैन वी अंडरस्टैंड द रीजन? स्टॉक मार्केट से इतने रिटर्न नहीं आना, तो ऐसा होता है. इनफैक्ट जो इन्वेस्टर्स होते हैं ना, बड़े इन्वेस्टर्स, दे से दैट व्हेन एवरीवन इज फेयरफुल, दैट इज द टाइम व्हेन यू शुड इन्वेस्ट, बिकॉज यू विल बी एबल टू बाय थिंग्स एट लोअर प्राइसेस. Some of the world's most famous investors who have become billionaires by that mechanism. But retail investors, हमारे पास थोड़ा सा पैसा होता है, we are like, यार अभी सब कुछ नीचे जा रहा है, I won't, let me put money in the bank account. FD, the real return on which may be negative. हाँ, real return next year or 1 lakh rupees may become 1,05,000. Yes, that is true. But inflation has happened of 7%. तो जो चीज आप लास्ट ईयर 1 लाख में खरीद पाते, that is costing you 1,07,000. So in a way, real return is negative. But people like us, we go for कि भैया FD करा लो, पैसे नहीं डुबाने हैं. मम्मी पापा की चप्पल पड़ती वाला है पैसे डुबाने के बाद, है ना. तो म्यूचुअल फंड में मनी दैट हैज गॉन इज लेसर. Despite that, mutual fund industry assets under management increased by 8.1%. Now, what is asset under management? What is asset under management? Asset under management is basically this: mutual fund companies getting a lot of money from people. Mutual fund companies getting a lot of money from people. They are investing it. So, how much is the asset that mutual fund have right now, invested right now? That has gone up by 8%. So, please understand this. December 2021 से April 2021 से September 2021 तक, in the first 6 months, the money that was given to mutual fund companies was more than the money that was given this year. But इस साल भी पैसा तो दिया ही है ना, तो asset under management would go up. That is why it has gone. Are we getting it? So we are not going into details of these things, but हमें we have to understand what has happened over the last 1 year in India's economy in various financial sectors. Foreign portfolio investment. Let's briefly understand. See, when we will study external sector, we will see that investment from foreign countries may come in the form of FDI, or it may also come in the form of FPI. FDI may, when investment comes, it comes in things like land, machineries, etc. These are more long-term, more stable investments. FPIs may, when investment come, they come in equities. When some company, when some individual in US, or when some let's say institutional investor in US, when some institutional investor, वहाँ पे mutual fund companies होंगी, they are buying shares of what was that company that we were talking about, Nykaa. They are buying shares of Nykaa. They can sell that share tomorrow. जैसे stock market खुलेगा, they can sell it. It's easy to withdraw from it. That is FPI, foreign portfolio investment. But if they are coming and buying and investing in Nykaa as a business partner, तो उनका पैसा कहाँ जा रहा है? मशीन्स खरीदने में, बाकी चीजें करने में. So that is FDI investment. ऐसे understand it in a different way. Let's say I'm buying shares of Reliance Industries. If I'm buying shares of Reliance Industries, that is, if I'm a foreigner and I'm buying shares of Reliance Industries, that is FPI. But I come into a business deal with Reliance and उनके किसी oil ड्रिल्स को और वहां पे मैं इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहा हूं, that would be FDI. So generally when the FPI is more than 10% in a company, it is also considered FDI. When FPI, suppose tomorrow I go and buy more than 10% shares of the Nykaa. I am a foreigner, let's say, I again assume I'm a foreigner, and that foreigner goes and buys 10% share in Nykaa, more than 10% share. तो उसने शेयर ही खरीदे हैं, स्टॉक मार्केट से भी खरीदे होंगे, ऐसा हो सकता है, बट दैट वुड बी कंसिडर्ड FDI, नॉट FPI, बिकॉज once you buy 10% share, selling it and going away would not be that easy. है ना? That's kind of stable long-term investment. And you will also have a say in annual general meeting because you have 10% of the votes, 10% of the shares. You will also have a say in the management of the company. considerable say in the management of the company, or at least some say in decision making. Right? Anyways, अब किसी के पास 50% ज्यादा शेयर है, वो आपको बिल्कुल इग्नोर कर सकता है, बट यू विल हैव सम. ओके, तो फॉरेन पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टमेंट्स में क्या हुआ? व्हाट हैपेंड लास्ट ईयर इन फॉरेन पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टमेंट इन इंडिया? Global economic factors exerted pressure on FPIs to sell in India. They sold their investment in India and went away. Global factors have made this happen. Inflationary pressure, inflation, वहां पे interest rate बढ़ रहे हैं, they would be like, why invest in India? Invest in banks of US के बैंक में रख लो पैसा, interest rate अच्छा मिल रहा है. Monetary tightening by central banks, do you understand? Higher interest rate. Recessionary fear in advanced economy. This is another factor. When there is a fear of recession, in that situation, we know that at the time of recession, stock market would also plunge. In that situation, let us withdraw our money right now. And when they withdraw money, stock market goes down. So fear of recession is more troublesome for economy than recession, for stock market than recession. Because recession एक बार आ गया तो we know stock market is at its bottom. Investors may come and start investing कि अब ऊपर ही जाएगा. But the fear of recession is a very problematic thing. Then booking gains in Indian market. Now what is this booking gains in Indian market? Indian stock market has done very well between 2020 and 2022. We saw that spike. It was huge. उन्होंने 2020 में इंडिया में इन्वेस्ट किया होगा, बहुत प्रॉफिट भी बन गया होगा. We know that for next 1 year or so, stock market may not do very well. Why not? Don't we book gain? That is, we earn profit. That is, these are some of the reasons because of which FPIs went away from India. But if that was the case, then our stock market should have also plunged. That has not happened because DIIs, domestic institutional investors, kept on buying in India, because our domestic players, domestic institutional investors had that confidence that इतना भी नहीं गिरेगा. Indian stock market has gone down. In fact, अब देखोगे ना, let's say, let me go back to where is Chrome? Achha, sorry. Let me go back to this thing. Let's say I talk about Nifty 50. Okay. Nifty. If you see this, let me take the 5-year period. Or 5-year period. Here you see from the peak in, I think, October 2021, it went down by 15% here, June 2022. But when Indian stock market was going down, domestic institutional investors considered it an opportunity. ये price कम है, डाल दो, because it's going to go up. We have already seen in Economic Survey of India chapter 1 and 2 are saying कि भाई इंडिया में नहीं आ रहा recession. We are going to grow by 6 to 7%. Right? So domestic institutional investors kept on investing. हमने अभी देखा था, mutual fund companies have more asset under management than what they had last year. तो म्यूचुअल फंड में भी हम पैसा लगा रहे हैं. म्यूचुअल फंड कंपनीज हैव केप्ट ऑन buying in the stock market, and that's why we saw Nasdaq, it has plunged like anything. We saw S&P, it has plunged, but that hasn't been the case with Indian stock market. Are we getting this? Are we understanding this? Okay. Now some more smaller topics. There is this topic which Economic Survey of India has discussed. There is a need to go for a common approach to regulate crypto ecosystem. Crypto ecosystem has created problems. You would see that there's a crypto exchange, FTX. It collapsed. Its valuation billions of dollars में था, and in few days became zero. ये कितनी खुश हो रही है, sadistic. अरे डूब गए. It became zero. क्या हुआ? क्या हुआ? उसमें नहीं जाएंगे. तुम्हारे पैसे इन्वेस्टेड थे. देखो, जब तक अपने पेरेंट्स के पैसे ना अपने पास, एक ये फर्जी क्रिप्टो ऐसी चीजें मत करना, अपने आ जाए तो यू टेक रिस्क एंड यू लुक फॉर अपॉर्चुनिटीज। निफ्टी 50 में हो? कौन सी कंपनी, किस में हो? हाँ, कौन सी कंपनी है वो? अच्छा, एक कौन सी कंपनी के शेयर खरीदे? अच्छा, म्यूचुअल फंड्स में डाले होंगे। अच्छा, निफ्टी, अच्छा इंडेक्स में डाल दिया, ओके ओके। निफ्टी नहीं नहीं, इंडेक्स इज लाइक रादर देन इन्वेस्टिंग इन द कंपनी यू इन्वेस्ट इन निफ्टी इंडेक्स, तो आपके पैसे ना फिर इक्वली वो जो 50 कंपनीज है ना उनके वेट के हिसाब से डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो जाता है। ओके, इंडेक्स फंड, यस इंडेक्स। ओके, तो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट क्रिप्टो करेंसीज, सम ऑफ देम हैव कोलैप्स्ड, इवन आप बिटकॉइंस वगैरह की वैल्यूएशन देखोगे, इट हैज गॉन डाउन लाइक एनीथिंग। Some of the countries are worried कि a lot of retail investors suffer because of that. ना वो इन्वेस्ट करते हैं और वैल्यूएशन गिर जाता है। बट मोर इम्पॉर्टेंटली क्रिप्टो करेंसीज बिकॉज दे आर डिसेंट्रलाइज, हमने साइंस टेक में पढ़ा है क्रिप्टो करेंसीज बिकॉज दे आर डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड। when they are decentralized, government does not have any control over it, may be harmful for the economy in long run, so they have started regulating it. Economic Survey of India, they have talked about 6-7 countries who have come up with various mechanisms for regulating cryptocurrency. But cryptocurrency has a global impact. Bitcoin, US regulate कर रहा है, ठीक है, but Bitcoin can be used all over the world. तो यहाँ पे Economic Survey of India has given a suggestion कि we need to come up with a common mechanism to deal with all the problems that this cryptocurrency may come up with. These cryptocurrencies may come up with. That's it. The summary is this. We will only study this. Okay. IFSC, gift city. यहाँ पे ना, in fact, what I've done is I've given you the entire box which was there in the Economic Survey of India, because मुझे पूरा relevant, important लग रहा था, इस पे सवाल आ सकता है एग्जाम में, तो you go through this, read the entire thing. I'll tell you summary में कि what is IFSC, what is IFSC या International Financial Service Center, IFSC होता क्या है. Now see, to understand IFSC, I'll give you a brief idea. I'll give you the basic concept behind IFSC and why we are creating IFSC. You read this, you'll understand more, है ना. I have not excluded anything. मैंने पूरा वो box cut copy करके notes में डाला है. See, what happens is, let's say a foreign bank wants to operate in India. When a foreign bank comes and operate in India, it will be regulated by RBI guidelines. RBI will say, go for this much priority sector lending, go for this much capital to risk weighted asset ratio, will do this, will do that, right? Similarly, any other financial sector when it comes to India, LIC होगा तो इंश्योरेंस रेगुलेटर डेवलपमेंट, IRDA होगा, it will be having some regulations. Now these regulations are good because they protect retail investors like us, है ना. It ensures that weaker people will not suffer. But for business, for innovative businesses who want to come up with newer kind of product जो रेगुलेशन अलाउ ही नहीं करता या अभी उस पर रेगुलेशन बना ही नहीं है, this becomes problematic. Then there are other issues like इंडिया में इन्वेस्टमेंट पे कुछ रेस्ट्रिक्शंस होते हैं, FDI आएगा इतना ही आ सकता है, FPI आएगा इतना ही आ सकता है, and those kind of things are there. Those regulations also have to be followed. If government of India wants to change it, they won't be able to change it because India is a huge country and in every place there may be a different requirement. The policies have to be in such a way that everyone benefits, not only the business class or that. So IFSC का concept क्या है? International Financial Service Center. They say in this international financial center, all over the world, these kind of international financial centers are there. Indian laws will not be applicable. Assume that it's a foreign territory. You come and open banks there, you come and open insurance companies there, you come open leasing companies there. उनका separate regulation रहेगा. RBI will not be regulating those banks. Separate regulation which may allow ease of doing business, which may allow other such advantages which they were not able to get. While this IFSC is in the territory of India, gift city है गुजरात में, उसमें this IFSC has been set up, but उस पे regulations are slightly different. So while they'll be doing business in India, they'll be earning profit in India, they'll be paying taxes in India, but we have kept the regulation thoda sa different so that they can run as innovatively, as efficiently as they want. तो वहां पे रेगुलेटर एक अलग बनाया, IFSC A एक अथॉरिटी बनाई है, एक स्टैट्यूटरी अथॉरिटी विच इज प्लेइंग द रोल ऑफ ऑल द फाइनेंशियल रेगुलेटर, आरबीआई का भी, इंश्योरेंस वाले का भी, पेंशन वाले का, PFRDA का भी. It is following the role of all those regulators. So to promote IFSC, what are the steps that have been taken and how IFSC has a lot of future in India is something that we have discussed in this box. Please go through it once. Over the last few years, what have we done? Please go through it once. It would help you understand those concepts. But I've given you the overall idea. Okay. Insurance sector. What are the developments that have taken place in insurance sector? See, when we will study this topic for mains examination, whatever we are studying in Economic Survey of India will just be a component of it. As I was telling you, Economic Survey of India has not talked about problems. So when we will study insurance for mains examination, we'll talk about what is the situation right now, what are the good things, what are the problems, and how will we resolve it. We will study it for mains examination in this manner. But for when we are dealing with Economic Survey of India, here we'll briefly talk about what is given there, what is the situation right now, and how future is better, how future is good for insurance sector in India. वो briefly हम cover कर रहे हैं. तो अच्छा, before that, why insurance sector is significant? Insurance sector is significant because वो आपको insurance दे रहा है, life के लिए insurance, तो long term security मिल पाती है हमें. सपोज मेरा एक्सीडेंट हुआ, बहुत पैसे खर्च हो रहे हैं, इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज वुड बी पेइंग फॉर दैट. हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, लाइफ इंश्योरेंस, राइट? बट दिस इज ओनली वन एस्पेक्ट. इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज व्हेन दे मोबिलाइज सो मच रिसोर्सेज, LIC, आप लोगों के कितने लोगों के पास LIC की कोई पॉलिसी है? किसी की है? नाइस. तो मारने पे कितने पैसे मिलेंगे? 150 रुपए. चलो, एनीवेज. हाँ, तो व्हाट वर वी टॉकिंग अबाउट? LIC. वी आर इन्वेस्टिंग मनी, वी आर, हर साल हम अपनी प्रीमियम पे कर रहे हैं. LIC गिव्स यू लाइफ इंश्योरेंस, है ना? But LIC is getting a lot of this money. Where, what does LIC do with that money? LIC में buy government securities and may give money to government. Government उसे infrastructure में invest करेगी. LIC में invest in stock exchange and money को ज़्यादा अच्छे से grow कर सकती है. तो these insurance companies also mobilize resources in this manner. अब LIC अदानी को दे दिया, वो अलग बात है. We were expecting गवर्नमेंट बॉन्ड्स में डाल रहे होंगे, है ना? SBI अदानी के, SBI और LIC दोनों के स्टॉक्स रिसेंटली गिरे हैं बिकॉज ऑफ अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपोजर इन अदानी स्टॉक्स. एनीवे, तो इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज हैव, इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर हैज दोज एडवांटेजेस. ओके, नाउ परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर कैन बी मेजर्ड इन टू वेज. प्रीलिम्स के लिए थोड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है ये समझना कि दो तरीके क्या होते हैं. वन इज इंश्योरेंस पेनिट्रेशन, अदर इज इंश्योरेंस डेंसिटी. What is insurance penetration? It is the ratio of total insurance premium to GDP of a country. So let's say India में total insurance premium, health insurance, life insurance, accidental insurance, और भी जितने insurance हैं, total insurance premium is let's say 1 lakh, 3 lakh crores. इतना हम साल में प्रीमियम दे रहे हैं. What is the GDP of India? 300 lakh crores. So this is 1%, right? So insurance premium refers to ratio of the total insurance premium to the GDP in a year, whereas insurance density is the ratio of insurance premium, that is 3 lakh crores over total population 140 crores. This is insurance density per capita. What is the insurance premium? And this is as a percentage of your GDP. What is the insurance premium? That is insurance penetration. डिड वी अंडरस्टैंड इंश्योरेंस पेनिट्रेशन एंड इंश्योरेंस डेंसिटी दोनों? तो इन केस ऑफ इंडिया, India has emerged as one of the fastest growing insurance market, and insurance density in India is $11.1 in it has increased from $11.1 in 2001 to $91 in 2021. So on an average, $91 in rupees would be multiplied by 80, तो नॉट 7,200, 80 से मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे ना, तो ऑन एन एवरेज पर कैपिटा 7,200 रुपीज वी आर पेइंग इन द फॉर्म ऑफ इंश्योरेंस एवरी ईयर. दैट मे बी कार इंश्योरेंस, कार इंश्योरेंस वगैरह का कॉस्ट बहुत ज्यादा होता है ना. कार इंश्योरेंस लाइक आई नेवर न्यू कि वो इतना ज्यादा होता है. अभी जब मेरे को पहली बार पे करना पड़ा, आई बॉट अ कार फॉर माई फादर इन 2021, तो फर्स्ट ईयर पहली बार में तो 1 साल का मिलता है. 2022 में जब मुझे पे करना पड़ा, मेरे को हर साल ऐसे पैसे जाएंगे इसके. मैं अपने पापा से बोला, पापा चला लिया करो इसे. आई गिफ्टेड इट, दैट्स फाइन, बट अब पापा का कभी कभी चलाने का मन करता है, कभी नहीं करता है, तो वो 1-1 महीने ऐसी पड़ी रहती है, खड़ी रहती है की बात है. एंड देन आई फील लाइक यार महीने का इंश्योरेंस का इतना जा रहा है, मतलब एनुअल इंश्योरेंस, तो पर मंथ इतना पैसा तो इसमें इंश्योरेंस का ही जा रहा है. ऊपर वालों को दे दे, मतलब सही है. नहीं देखो क्या है ना कि मैं अपनी लूंगा ना, उसे दे दूंगा ऊपर वाले को, ये पिताजी के लिए लिए, समझो ना. पापा बोलेंगे बेटा यहां भी तो पैसे कमाने लग रहा है. चलिए लेट्स कम बैक टू दिस. तो इंश्योरेंस पेनिट्रेशन अराउंड 7,200 रुपीज. व्हाई डिड आई से, क्योंकि इमेजिन करना थोड़ा ऐसा हो जाता है कि सर 7,200 पर ईयर in with India has so many people who do not have insurance cover. Will it be possible to consider all those insurance, car insurance, life insurance, health insurance? Like when you are in formal sector, आपकी कंपनी आपको हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस प्रोवाइड कर रही है ना, तो इंश्योरेंस डेंसिटी इज दिस मच एंड इंश्योरेंस पेनिट्रेशन इज 3.2%. व्हाट वाज इंश्योरेंस पेनिट्रेशन? हाँ सॉरी, इंश्योरेंस पेनिट्रेशन ऑफ इंडिया स्टेडली इंक्रीज फ्रॉम 2.7% to 4.2%. टोटल प्रीमियम का अमाउंट बाय योर जीडीपी. तो आपके जीडीपी का जितना वैल्यू है उसका 4.2% यू आर गिविंग इन द फॉर्म ऑफ इंश्योरेंस. वी आर गिविंग इन द फॉर्म ऑफ इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम, दैट इज गोइंग अप. इंश्योरेंस डेंसिटी इज ऑल्सो गोइंग अप. इंडिया में देखो 4.2% किसका है, पूरे इंश्योरेंस का है, उसमें से लाइफ इंश्योरेंस है 3.2% प्रीमियम. तो वी आर गोइंग फॉर इन इंडिया, वी आर गोइंग फॉर लाइफ इंश्योरेंस मच मोर देन ऑल अदर इंश्योरेंस कंबाइंड टुगेदर. Now, this may appear on the first hand to be very good. हाँ यार, that's good. If someone dies, there is some support that would be available. But the problem is, most life insurance products which are sold in India are saving linked. Now, what is meant by this? देखो, when you go for life insurance, you get something called term insurance, and then they say when you go to LIC, I have life insurance from LIC. Now I have a cover of, let's say, 50 lakh rupees. Let's say that is the scenario. That cover of 50 lakh rupees I can get in much smaller amount if I go for some other term insurance. Let's say you must be seeing this ad where they say ki in 1,000 rupees per month you can get a life cover of 1 crore rupees. So when you pay 1,000 rupees per month, in case something happens to you, क्या आप लुढ़क गए, when you die, if it's about life insurance, in case something happens to you, in return of that 1,000 rupees per month, you get 1 crore, your family would get 1 crore rupees. But in India, most of the insurance is not of this type. Most of the insurance is of the type like LIC में, मैं वहां पे पैसे दे रहा हूं हर साल, है ना, बट दैट इज सेविंग अकाउंट लिंक्ड. वो पैसे ना सेविंग अकाउंट में जा रहे हैं, उस पर इंटरेस्ट भी मिल रहा है मुझे, एंड आफ्टर 15 years आई विल गेट अ ह्यूज अमाउंट बैक. If that is the case, then my coverage would not be very high. My insurance cover would not, because if that money is going like a recurring deposit and मुझे cover भी दे रहे हैं, तो cover would be lesser. Insurance cover would be lesser. Whereas if this money was not going as a recurring deposit, this money was going for this, just for you will have to pay me money only if I die, then coverage could have been much larger. तो इंडिया में वो कवरेज मच लार्जर थी, इंडिया में ज्यादातर सेविंग अकाउंट लिंक्ड. Are we understanding this? Are we getting this? तो life insurance penetration in India was 3.2% in 2000, almost twice more than the emerging market and slightly above the global average. However, most life insurance products sold in India are saving linked with just a small protection component. So here protection component is very less. Therefore, household remain exposed to a significant financing gap in event of premature death of the primary breadwinner. समझ में आ रही है बात? Clarity है? Okay. So now, in recent times, some steps have been taken by the insurance regulatory insurance IRDAI, the regulatory authority of insurance sector. उनका एक initiative है IRDAI Micro Insurance Regulation 2015. It provides a platform for distributing insurance products that are affordable for rural and urban poor and promote financial inclusion. Similarly, there is another initiative by IRDAI where they make it mandatory for insurance companies to cover smaller players also. So IRDAI obligation of insurance to rural and social sector regulation 2015. What is this obligation? आपको रूरल एरियाज में और सोशल सेक्टर वाले एरियाज में भी इंश्योरेंस पेनिट्रेशन बढ़ाना है. तो थ्रू दिस दे आर इंप्रूविंग इंश्योरेंस कवर. There are a number of government insurance schemes also, because of which insurance cover is going up in India. There is Ayushman Bharat. Actually, it should be PMJAY, na? प्रधानमंत्री जन आरोग्य योजना. Ayushman Bharat is a broader initiative. इसके अंदर there are many components. जैसे one of the component of Ayushman Bharat is for primary health care center. जहाँ पे what are we doing? What is the initiative's name? Health and wellness centers. So we are creating health and wellness centers in rural areas so that primary health services would be easily, freely available. Then इसी का दूसरा आयुष्मान भारत प्रधानमंत्री जन आरोग्य योजना. It provides a family with cover of 5 lakh rupees for secondary and tertiary treatment. प्रधानमंत्री जन, ये हमने हेल्थ वाले बुकलेट में पढ़ा था साइंस में, where we had said ki how the families would be identified and all those kind of things. They would be identified using 2011 census data. And जो पुराना वाला the older schemes, all the beneficiaries of older schemes would keep getting benefit under this. We had studied this. This is प्रधानमंत्री जन आरोग्य योजना. It is a health insurance initiative. Then there are two initiatives, प्रधानमंत्री सुरक्षा बीमा योजना and प्रधानमंत्री जीवन ज्योति बीमा योजना. सुरक्षा बीमा is for accidental cover and this is for life insurance. ये ना आपके बैंक से linked है. And if you approve this, it automatically money keeps getting deducted and you keep getting covered by insurance. तो एक बार वेरीफाई कर लीजिए if you are, because sometimes ना हमें लगता है अरे हर रोज 1 रुपए देने हैं, कुछ वैसा अमाउंट देना है, let's do it. We do not even know and money is getting deducted. So tell your parents कि हो रखा है इंश्योरेंस, अगर वैसा सिनेरियो है ना, else पता भी नहीं चलेगा आपके इंश्योरेंस के पैसे. तो प्रधानमंत्री सुरक्षा बीमा योजना, एक्सीडेंटल कवर, एक्सीडेंट की वजह से डेथ हो गया, एक्सीडेंट की वजह से जो चोटें लगी उसका ट्रीटमेंट है, फॉर दैट दिस इंश्योरेंस इज देयर. प्रधानमंत्री जीवन ज्योति योजना, अंडर द स्कीम रिस्क कवरेज ऑफ 2 लाख इज क्रेडिटेड टू द सेविंग बैंक अकाउंट ऑफ द होल्डर इन केस ऑफ डेथ ऑफ द पर्सन हु इज इंश्योर्ड. प्रधानमंत्री वय वंदना योजना, ओल्ड एज लोगों के लिए. अंडर दिस इनिशिएटिव फिक्स्ड डिपॉजिट अमाउंट पे you get higher interest rate. Initially this interest rate was 8%. कि at least 8% interest rate तो elderlies को मिलेगा. तो elderlies को deposit up to let's say 15 lakh rupees. तो 15 lakh का 8% was 1,20,000. तो per month they were getting 10,000 rupees of interest. तो elderlies जैसे लोग when people retire they get a lot of money. They could have invested that money here and per month they would keep getting some fixed income. Now government has changed it a bit. Government has reduced the interest rate. पहले 8% था ना, उसे अब उन्होंने 7% something कर दिया and that can be changed every year. But this is another initiative for elderly. Then we have प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना. प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना will study in detail in the agriculture sector. But here agri crops of 3 types. विच आर द 3 टाइप्स? रबी, खरीफ एंड यहाँ पे हॉर्टिकल्चर क्रॉप। रबी, खरीफ एंड हॉर्टिकल्चर क्रॉप्स आर बीइंग प्रोटेक्टेड। रबी क्रॉप्स में आपको क्रॉप का 2%, नहीं रबी क्रॉप में 3%, रबी में 2%, खरीफ में 3% एंड हॉर्टिकल्चर में 5% प्रीमियम देना। ये कब हुआ? मैं भूल गया क्या? अच्छा होगा, चलो हाँ, that may be true, that may be true. Anyways, so at a very small premium, I'll update you about the exact premium amount. At a very small premium, you get agri insurance cover. I'm sorry for the confusion. Okay, so these are the insurance scheme which government of India is running. Pension sector. तो पेंशन सेक्टर में ना, यू रीड दिस थिंग, आई विल एक्सप्लेन यू एनपीएस एंड ओल्डर पेंशन, अभी क्योंकि ओल्डर पेंशन और एनपीएस वाले सिस्टम में चल रहे हैं। तो बिफोर एनपीएस वाज ब्रॉट इनटू प्ले, नेशनल पेंशन सिस्टम वाज ब्रॉट इनटू प्ले इन 2004। जो गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज थे उनका पेंशन सिस्टम कैसा था? लाइक if your parents or grandparents have retired recently, if your parents and grandparents have retired recently, the system on which they became part of government was कि you every month a particular percentage of money would be deducted from your income. This deduction इतना होगा, वो was limited, but the pension that you will get was not linked to this deduction. Pension was linked to, जैसे आपका जो सैलरी मिल रहा है उसका 50% आपको पेंशन मिल रहा है। At the time of retirement, whatever was your salary, उसका एक percentage will be your pension. Did you understand what was the older system? तो older system में जो पैसा गवर्नमेंट कलेक्ट कर रही है आपसे पेंशन के लिए, इसको गवर्नमेंट इन्वेस्ट करके बाय द टाइम यू बिकम ओल्ड मे बी एबल टू जनरेट लेसर मनी देन व्हाट यू आर गेटिंग. तो गवर्नमेंट केम अप विथ एनपीएस बिकॉज इट वाज बिकमिंग अ ह्यूज बर्डन. एज more and more people were retiring, more and more pension amount had to be given, and that was not linked to your initial investment. That was not linked to your contribution over the year. So government came up with NPS, National Pension System. Under this, what pension you will be getting would be linked to your investment. जितना पैसा आपका कट रहा है ना पेंशन के लिए, it would be linked to that. Now it has become a political issue now. Some of the states which are non BJP ruled states, वो political reasons से they are saying कि we will go to the older model where you were getting better pensions. Okay, so let's understand this. It was introduced in January 2004. It's primary pension system for a government employee with a pay as you go defined benefit plan. Pay as you go and your benefit is defined. NPS for government employee is a defined contribution plan. तो एक मिनट, अच्छा, NPS is a defined contribution plan कि हर मंथ इतना this percentage of money would be deducted with contribution from government. तो in case of formal sector, what happens when you contribute something for your PF and all, government also contributes some amount. The value of pension corpus is market to market, and accordingly the rate of return is market determined. Your money would be invested in various scenarios, various sectors, and what will be your pension would be based on what is the return of your investment. Okay, in the older system this was not the case. In the older system आपके पैसे deposit तो हो रहे हैं, but your pension was fixed to your last income. Did you understand? So NPS was brought for government employees, but this NPS corporate sector was brought in 2011 to cover corporate sector also. Here corporate sector में let's say I want to become part of NPS, तो मैं NPS में एक अपना अकाउंट खुलवाऊंगा, मेरा एम्प्लॉई भी उसमें एक शेयर डालेगा, and then my pension and all would be determined at the end based on where the money was invested and how much return has happened, like that. Now another Atal Pension Yojana was brought. Atal Pension Yojana was brought for weaker section. Under this, people who are working in unorganized sector also, they could start investing in NPS. वो जितना इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं उसके बेसिस पे उनका at the time of retirement benefit होता. But here there's a difference. Here government said initially in 2015 when it was launched, you become part of NPS we will match your contribution. You are contributing something in it, we will also match your contribution to a particular threshold. अब आप 10 लाख रुपए लगाने लगोगे, will not contribute 10 lakh रुपए, but to a particular threshold, we will match your contribution. And in this way, even the unorganized sector workers were supposed to get benefit of NPS. Okay, these are some of the mechanisms in the pension system of India. ये थोड़ा सा पढ़िएगा प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जामिनेशन के लिए, बस ये वाला सेक्शन. हम मेंस के लिए जब इसे पढ़ेंगे तो विल गो इनटू इन जनरल व्हाट आर द प्रॉब्लम्स, व्हाई कवरेज ऑफ पीपल लाइक ओल्ड एज पीपल के लिए कवरेज इज नॉट दैट ग्रेट, इज नॉट दैट क्रूशियल. यहाँ पे वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट सम अदर स्कीम्स, सम अदर इनिशिएटिव्स आल्सो अदर देन एनपीएस. you would see that हाँ PFRD नहीं sorry, there are some other initiatives. Indira Gandhi, हाँ ये रहा, various pension schemes being implemented by government of India. So under National Social Assistance Program we have Indira Gandhi National Old Age Pension Scheme, Indira Gandhi National Widow Pension Scheme, Indira Gandhi National Disability Pension Scheme. So these are given to people of these vulnerable groups in case under National Social Assistance Program, with the total number of beneficiaries here are 4.7 crore under these initiatives. Do we have clarity on this? बाकी थोड़ा सा खुद रीड करिए इसमें. All the relevant things I have included here. Let's now go to outlook for domestic financial sector is good. It's good. It's good in the sense कि everything is doing good. We are improving. We are doing better. This is what Economic Survey of India says. So this is good. Let's go to the next. Break नहीं लेंगे. Break नहीं लेंगे. Next booklet is only very small. It may not take more than 45 minutes to 1 hour. तो थोड़ा सा tolerate करो. 45 minutes for or 1 hour and we'll finish the next booklet. हाँ मर जाओगे? फातिमा ने बोला मर जाओगे, है ना? फातिमा नहीं बोला ना? मैं प्रॉमिस करता हूं नहीं मरोगी बस. और मरे तो लाइफ इंश्योरेंस मेरी तरफ से. नॉमिनी कौन है? अरे आप अभी डिसाइड करो. मम्मी पापा भाई बहन बॉयफ्रेंड गर्लफ्रेंड, एनीवन कैन बी नॉमिनी. मुझे भाई मान के मुझे बना दो. फातिमा मैं भी भाई हूं भाई, मुझे बना दो. Okay, let's go to where were we going? Next booklet, no? Lecture 3. ब्रेक चाहिए क्या? अच्छा चलो ठीक है, लेट्स टेक अ 15 मिनट्स ब्रेक. तुम लोग एकदम 15 मिनट्स वुड नॉट बी इनफ. कितना? अच्छा एक काम करो, अभी जाओ, जिसको पानी पीना है जल्दी से पीते रहो जब तक मैं सेटअप करता हूँ, है ना? देन वी वुड स्टार्ट. प्राइसेस एंड इन्फ्लेशन. गर्मी भी लग रही है ना? ब्रेक चाहिए पर ना सिर्फ 15 मिनट का, ठीक है? चाय पीने नहीं जाओगे. लेट्स टेक अ 15 मिनट ब्रेक एंड it's 7:15 right now. We'll start at 7:30. So chapter 5 would start at 7:30. ओके चलें, शुरू करें। देखो ऑन ऑन एक आई थिंक ऑन 27 जून मैंने आपका क्लास तो सुबह लिया था ना, इन द आफ्टरनून आई वेंट टू सीपी, मेरे को 60% डिस्काउंट। हाँ 60% डिस्काउंट, और फिर देर वॉज सम 15% डिस्काउंट ऑन रिपब्लिक डे डिस्काउंट, तो टोटल ऐसे कुछ 70% डिस्काउंट कुछ हो रहा था। मैंने कहा सही है, ले लेते हैं H&M से। हाँ इसलिए 3 ले लिया, एक के प्राइस में 3 मिले ना। तो कलर वाज नॉट द रीजन, डिस्काउंट वाज द रीजन। चलिए, साउंड साउंड नहीं आ रहा, नहीं ऑनलाइन वाले बच्चों को। कैन ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स कंफर्म मी वंस इफ आई एम ऑडिबल? बता दो यार। ओवर साइज का रीजन मेरा मोटापा है, ये नहीं कि साइज अवेलेबल नहीं था। चलिए शुरू करें। इन्फ्लेशन, चैप्टर 5। देखो इन्फ्लेशन, वी नो सर्टेन बेसिक एस्पेक्ट्स अबाउट इन्फ्लेशन, कि इन्फ्लेशन इज जनरल राइज इन प्राइसेस। we calculate inflation in two ways, one by using the consumer price index and other by using the wholesale price index. So we are not going into the details, but please note, in consumer price index how do we calculate inflation? तो पहले ना what we do a survey of what are the things consumers are buying, end users are buying. Using that survey we give weight to various products. For example, here you will see that food and beverage, when we did the survey, we found that in our expenditure, 45% of the expenditure is on food and beverage. General, throughout the country, when you look at people, 45% of their expenditure goes on food and beverage, 2.4% expenditure goes on pan, tobacco and intoxicants, 6.5% on clothing and footwear, 10.1% in housing, 6.8% in fuel and light, and 28.3% इसमें health, education, all those aspects would be there in miscellaneous. And then we say कि let's say base year में our index value was 100. So now when we calculate inflation, so we know what is the average weight that has been given. This is the weight that has been given based on how much money we spend in a particular commodity. So using this, when for 2013 we will calculate index, using this, when in 2013 we will calculate index, suppose consumer price index, when we calculate, it comes out to be 120. It will always be computed on the base year, using the base year. In 2014, let's say it comes out to be 144. When compared to base year, your index calculation mein index has gone to, consumer price index has gone to 144. Consumer price index is calculated with respect to base year, but inflation will be calculated with respect to previous year. So यहाँ पे when you calculate inflation, it would be consumer price index of this year minus consumer price index of last year over consumer price index of last year. So here you will see it will come out to be 24, and into percentage में calculate करना तो into 100 भी करना पड़ेगा, into 100. So you will see it will come out to be 24 over 120 into 100. तो कितना हो जाएगा ये? 20. It will come out to be around 20%. So how did we calculate inflation? Did we understand? And how did we calculate the index? Index was calculated with respect to base year. With respect to base year, how the prices of those things may have changed. Now here, did we understand ये weight वाला part पहले? कि in a survey which was done, we found that in general, when people in India spend money, if we spend 100 rupees, 45 rupees is going on food. Now you may be wondering, sir, my income is 1 lakh and I only spend 10,000 on food. Not more than that. See, in general, overall population आपको consider करना पड़ेगा. There is population which spends 80% of its money on food only. रूरल लेबरर्स देखो, रूरल लेबरर्स दे हैव देयर ओन होम, गांव में घर तो होता है अपना, तो मोस्ट ऑफ द मनी दैट दे गेट दे स्पेंड इट ऑन फूड ओनली. देयर आर अदर्स, इफ यू गो टू मुकेश अंबानी, उनके एक्सपेंडिचर का very small percentage may be on food, more of its expenditure may be on home, right? बाकी सारी चीजें, home electricity bill, it can be much, maybe much larger. You're getting this point. तो पहले तो ये सब CPI, did we understand CPI? Please note, CPI में services are also included. In miscellaneous we have health and all those aspects, not only goods. Okay, ये clear है? Now here what we are showing, Economic Survey of India has shown कि the inflation that occurred, what contributed to that inflation. So food and beverage, they had some contribution, pan, tobacco, clothing, housing, fuel and light, miscellaneous, they had some calculation. Now please understand this. Let's say food and beverage ka weight 50%. For calculation simplification, rather than making it 45%, let's say its weight is 50%. Just for simplifying our calculation. So 50% is the weight of food and beverage. Okay, and weight of, let's say, pan tobacco, it's 2.5%. Pan tobacco's weight is 2.5%. Pan ka weight is 2.5%. If pan's weight becomes 10 times, and let's say a pan earlier was available in 5 rupees, now it is available in 50 rupees. Because its weight is very less, in the overall inflation, in spite of the fact that its price has increased drastically, its contribution would be lesser. Whereas, because food and beverage, let's say food and beverage ka weight 50% hai, and its price becomes 10 times. Let's say that is the scenario. Its price becomes 10 times, and let's say everything else, remaining 50%, its price does not increase at all. Fir bhi our CPI would increase a lot because its weight was 50%. So these weights are significant, because eventually what would happen? These weights are telling us how much money we spend on a particular item. So if we are spending a large money on this item and that item becomes much more expensive, our expenditure would become much higher, much larger, right? तो ये CPI वाला aspect समझ में आया? तो why I was showing you this, why I was showing you weight, because you will see that we spend a lot of money on general consumption. Of our expenditure, we spend a lot of money on general essential consumption. In developing countries or underdeveloped countries, that is the scenario. And thus inflation hit us harder. Why? Because when inflation occurs and prices of these products go up, we will, because these are essential things, we will need to buy it. These are essential things, we would definitely need to buy it. If the price of, let's say, luxury car was going up, we could decide, let's say, we'll not buy it this year it's expensive. But if the price of rice and wheat is going up, we will not be able to say we can't buy it, we will not buy it. We will buy it at higher prices only. So the first line of this booklet, rising prices are always a cause of concern for policymakers as they hurt common people. Inflation impacts developing countries more because in their consumption basket there are more necessities. In our consumption basket, we had seen the consumption basket, there are more necessities. Did we understand it? Did we get it? So between 2017 to 2019, inflation was not much, but it remained around 4%. But in 2020, because of supply chain disruption, COVID-19, lockdown, transportation, and all those were affected, we breached the tolerance limit of 6%. RBI का inflation targeting में, what is the target? 4 plus minus 2%. We have already done that, 4 plus minus 2% वाली चीज. So we breached that limit for the first time. It went to 6%. After this, the Russia-Ukraine war in February 2022 also led to supply chain disruption, and after that, inflation spiked like anything. In advanced economies, we would see that inflation rose from 3.1% in 2021 to 7.2% in 2022. And if you look at individual countries, तो IMF says that this is the highest rise since 1982. ये जो rise हुआ है 3.1% to 7.2%, this had not happened ever since 1982. Since 1982 in general among advanced economies. But US में this rise was 9.1%. The inflation had reached 9.1% in June 2002 to June 2022. 9.1% is highest in 40 years. They never had 9.1% inflation in last 40 years. Similarly, if you go to UK, they reached 9.2% in December 2022. Germany reached 8.6% in December 2022. So advanced economies are going through their highest inflation. Emerging market maybe inflation has increased. World Economic Outlook published by IMF, it said that in developed economies inflation went from 3.1% to 7.2%. For developing countries also it increased from 5.9% to 9.9%. So inflation has went up all across the world. If inflation goes up, monetary policy tightening would happen, monetary policy tightening would happen, less money supply would happen, they will try to reduce inflation. तो डोमेस्टिक रिटेल इन्फ्लेशन की जब हम बात करते हैं तो ड्यूरिंग फाइनेंशियल ईयर 22 inflation remained lower than FY21. Base retail inflation remained lower. CPI combined inflation remained lower than 2021, but it was still higher than the pre-pandemic levels. Pre-pandemic level में तो 4% के आसपास थे, है ना? 21 में 22 में sorry 21 में it remained higher than the previous year, but it was still lower than sorry क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं? It remained lower than FY21. That is कोविड वाला जो ईयर था उससे तो कम रहा. कोविड वाले ईयर में वी हैड रीच 6% ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन, बट इट वाज स्टिल हायर देन द प्री पैंडेमिक सिचुएशन. ओके, तो ड्यूरिंग FY22, दैट इज इन 2021-22 ईयर, इन्फ्लेशन वाज प्राइमरली कॉज्ड बाय ऑयल एंड फैट. Imported oils had become very expensive, vegetable oil had become very expensive, fuel and light, fuel prices were going up, and transport and communication. These were the major factors there. FY23 में भी inflation बढ़ा है. यहाँ पे food and beverage, clothing and footwear, and fuel and light, all three of them have played a role. Now come here. This was the weight. This was the weight. This is how much they have contributed in inflation. This is not how much inflation has occurred. Inflation तो हमारा 8-9% है ना? How much they have contributed in the inflation. So to understand whether their contribution is more or less, जो उनका weight है ना, if their contribution is more than that, it means they have contributed more. जो उनका weight है उससे उनका contribution कम है, it means they may have contributed less. So look at this, clothing and footwear in 2023. This is 2023, financial year 2023. Its weight is 6.5%, but its contribution is going around 10%. So it has contributed a lot, food, clothing and footwear. If you come to, let's say, fuel and light ka weight is 6.8%, but its contribution is more than 10%. Again, fuel has played a role in this. If you come here, its contribution is 45%. Whose contribution? Food and beverage ka. But sorry, its weight is 45%, but its contribution is more than 45%. That's why we are saying that in financial year 23, food, clothing, footwear, fuel, they have played a role in increasing inflation. ये समझ में आई बात? Okay. Food inflation based on consumer food price index climbed to 7% FY23 when compared to 3.8% FY22. Major contributors were vegetables, cereals, milk, spices. Milk prices का बढ़ने का main reason था feed cost बढ़ना. Cereal prices बढ़ने का main reason था Russia-Ukraine war. Wheat, Ukraine is one of the largest exporters of wheat, and if that gets affected, prices of wheat all across the world get affected. To contain this, government has taken a number of steps. The wheat exports or wheat product exports were restricted, banned. To protect vulnerable section, from 1st of January we have also launched Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, where 80 crore beneficiaries would get free food grains, other than the National Food Security Act के अंदर, PDS के अंदर, something that they get at 1 rupees, 2 rupees, 3 rupees वाला rate. Okay, vegetable prices rose primarily because of tomato. वो season, at that time they got unseasonal rainfall and the prices went up. These were the major factors for price rise, food price rise in 2023. Now, to control inflation in essential food commodities, some steps have been taken. For example, सीरियल्स के केस में आप देखोगे इन May 2022 wheat flour export was prohibited. In July 2022 wheat flour export were permitted but was subjected to restriction imposed by interministerial panel. तो जो पहले हमने wheat flour export when it was prohibited, it was the global community had criticized us. The government was pressurized to, and business the farmers in India were also unhappy. They were getting higher prices. But then we allowed it, but we restricted. इतना ही एक्सपोर्ट हो पाएगा. Like we permitted but were subjected to restriction as recommended by interministerial panel. With effect from 14th of August 2022, the export of maida and suji was allowed only after approval of interministerial panel. On 27th August 2022, export of wheat or muslin flour, maida, semolina, wholemeal atta and resultant atta. This was also prohibited. Their export was prohibited. So what you understand is wheat prices are going up all over the world. इंडिया के प्रोडक्ट का डिमांड भी ज्यादा था, बट वी प्रोहिबिटेड एक्सपोर्ट और वी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड एक्सपोर्ट सो दैट मोर व्हीट इज अवेलेबल विद इन द कंट्री, सो दैट इन्फ्लेशन इन फूड आइटम कुड बी curtailed. Then pulses के लिए this year we did not face a lot of inflation because we have created a lot of buffer. So here they are talking about a buffer stock of pulses has been maintained for price stabilization in 2020-21 and 21-22. Import duty on masoor was brought down to 0 on 26 July 2021. So they are not talking about this financial year. Previous financial year में ही already steps were taken to ensure कि more pulse would be available. 30th March 2022, the import of tur and urad under free category was extended until 31st March 2023. So import duties which earlier was imposed on tur dal is arhad dal, and urad is that black wala. If you remove the chilka, it becomes white. White or black. With chilka it's black, otherwise it's white. Okay, so that is urad dal. इस पे ना import duty free कर रखा है कुछ टाइम के लिए, and that free import duty free thing has been extended until 31st March 2023. So what you see is what I'm trying to tell you is food items पे price बढ़ने पे government takes steps. Wheat पे भी you saw that, pulses के लिए there are some steps. Edible oil के लिए edible oil prices had gone up a lot in 2021-22. So at that time only a number of initiatives were taken. Okay, these are some initiatives. Go through it, but ना इतने डिटेल में जाके यूपीएससी पूछना नहीं है. But there's a tradition. जो बॉक्सेस में चीजें रहती है ना इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया में, दे टेंड टू आस्क थिंग्स फ्रॉम देयर, एंड दैट इज व्हाई व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू इंश्योर आइदर मैं बॉक्स पूरा कवर कर ले रहा हूं नोट्स के फॉर्म में, और आई एम पुटिंग इन द एंटायर बॉक्स इन द बुकलेट ओनली, सो दैट यू डू नॉट फील लाइक you have missed anything from economic survey of India. Okay, I'm ensuring that each and everything that is relevant is there. You may go and read the entire 25 page on inflation which is given in the economic survey of India, or only the relevant portion which we are covering here. Okay, science and tech ka RTFQ. Science and tech ka RTFQ, I'll start very soon. It's just people who are giving interviews this year, they have requested ki finish economic survey of India and budget as soon as possible. So we are prioritizing that. So we have extra classes on Tuesday and Wednesday also. There will do economic survey of India, and then Friday, Saturday. With this, our economic survey of India as well as budget would be done. After that, जो भी बचा है अपना science का RTFQ, we will do that. Okay. Wholesale price index, WPI. Now, before again going into the details of WPI, please note when we measure so CPI में which price was considered? The price which consumer pays, consumer price index. Wholesale price index में we consider the price at the wholesale level, price near to the producer. Now wholesale pay, the product may be available at lower price, but by the time it reaches retailer, the price may increase. It may be because of many reasons. It may be because there are too many intermediaries in between. It may be because there is less competition, so they are charging unnecessary amount of money. It may be because of many such reasons. Now, generally wholesale price index and CPI में there can be differences. These differences can be because of lack of more intermediaries or lack of competition. This differentiation also may be because wholesale price index see the international impact faster. For that international impact to occur at the retail level, it may take some time. It may take some time. Prices are going down. They will import at lower prices, and eventually that lower price would reach consumers. Prices are going up. They will import at higher prices, and eventually the higher prices will reach consumers. Are we getting this? Then there are some other factors why wholesale price index का जो inflation है, inflation calculated on the basis of wholesale price index and retail price index में differ. Wholesale price index does not have service sector. Wholesale price index does not have service sector वाली चीजें. तो service sector prices are going up, so CPI would go up, but WPI may not go up. Then wholesale price index have different weightage. वहाँ देखा food items had 50% of the weightage, but here what is the weightage? You see here categorization is done on these three bases: primary articles, fuel and power, and manufactured products. These are the three ways of three categorized the ways in which various goods have been categorized under wholesale price index, where primary items have weightage of 22.6%, fuel and power has weightage of 13.2%, and manufactured products have weightage of 64.2%. So see, it here manufactured products have much higher value. Primary products like agricultural products, minerals, crude, petroleum and natural gas, crude, not the manufactured. Manufactured में जब आप उसे refine कर लेते हो, तो it becomes LPG, petrol, diesel. It is included in fuel and power. Crude, primary वाला is included here. Then manufactured products में see food products which are processed are also included in जैसे edible oil. आप directly सरसों तो consume नहीं करते ना? That is processed, that is refined, and then you consume it. So it's also included here. But food product together does not have the kind of weight it has in consumer price index. It does not have the weight it has in consumer price index. So for this reason also, because there is weight difference, consumer price index and wholesale price index may differ. Are we getting this? So during pandemic year, wholesale price index remained low. Why? See, at wholesale level they were, because demand was less, they were ready to supply things at lower prices. But because of supply chain disruption, retail level पे it was reaching at an expensive price. So retail inflation was there in the pandemic year. Wholesale price index का वाला inflation remained low during pandemic year. Are we understanding it? You can understand it by this also. Financial year 21 में see primary product 1.7%. ये यहाँ पे we are talking about inflation, average annual wholesale inflation. तो total inflation आप देखेंगे, headline inflation in FY21 the pandemic year it was 1.3. In FY22 it increased to 13. In FY23 it has come to 11.5, slightly lower than that, but it यहाँ पे बहुत कम था, यहाँ it increased. So what happened in FY22 that it increased? One factor was low base, because in FY21 increase was not that much. The wholesale price index in FY22, even with small prices going up, because base was lesser, it increased. Okay, to come back to this, Russia-Ukraine war was has exacerbated this. As a result, in FY22, WPI climbed to 13%. Key contribution in WTI climb was crude, petroleum and natural gas first, fuel and power, and edible oil. इन तीनों का हमें पता है. In FY21-22 financial year 2021-22, the prices went up. 22 February में, March 2022 में, that is included in FY22. February 2022, that is included in FY22. Russia-Ukraine war started. Prices of fuel spiked like anything. Prices were higher even before that, but it spiked like anything. Now please note, government reduced its excise duty and all, but excise duty level वाला calculation यहाँ पे होता ही नहीं है. They do not include indirect taxes while calculating a WPI. So in reality, prices went up for consumers. It should have gone up further higher, but government reduced taxes. That's why it got reduced. So consumer price index पे it did not have that much impact, which it could have had on wholesale price index. So coming back to in FY21, WPI inflation climbed to 13%. Key contributors were petroleum, natural gas, fuel and fuel power and edible oil. FY23 में WPI inflation so far has been 11%. You can see this 13% and 11%. Please note, यहाँ पे तीन ही heads हैं: primary articles, fuel and power and manufactured products. There are three heads only. यहाँ पे what they have done, they have also they also separately calculate food inflation, where WPI के जो food वाले items है ना, उनको अलग से use करके कि what is the food inflation. then they also calculate core inflation. In core inflation they remove food, because food prices may fluctuate a lot, so they remove food and then they calculate core inflation. In case of CPI, they calculate core inflation by removing food and fuel. In CPI, they calculate core inflation by removing food and fuel. Headline inflation and thus WPI inflation or headline inflation, जिसको हम 100 मान रहे हैं in the base year, it increased by 1.7, 1.3, 13 and 11.0% in FY20, FY21, FY23 and FY23. I'm sorry. Did we understand this? So in FY23, note part of the WPI inflation is imported inflation because higher prices are because of import. Measures to contain inflation in input prices. So यहाँ पे भी they had given a box, Economic Survey of India had given a box. I have summarized that box here so that you do not miss anything. Fuel में we reduced excise duty twice, in November 2021 and in May 2022. That has led to, we have already studied this, so I will not go into this detail. Plastic products, reduction in import duty on various plastics products. Steel, reduction in import duty. Import duties on major inputs like ferronickel, cooking oil, PCI, coal was reduced. Import duties on coke and semi-coal was also slashed from 5% to 0. Export was taxed. Cotton में we waived off custom. देखो, import duty reduction and waiving off are two different things. In waiving off, the duty is there, but for a particular time period you waive it off. है ना? तो here you will see waiving off of custom duty on cotton imports with effect from 14th April 2022, 30th April 2022. To benefit textile industry, here waiving off means cotton which attracts 5% BCD and 5% AIDC, ये 5% BCD AIDC आपको नहीं देना पड़ेगा. But in general ये tax लगा हुआ, it has not been reduced, it has just been waived off. Diamond and gemstone पे, chemical products पे also certain some of these kind of steps were done. Let us look at fuel price inflation. How has fuel price inflation varied? You can see this. In the COVID year, December 2020, till December 2021, it was pretty low. It is from December 2021, it started spiking, it started going up. In fact, COVID year में तो और भी नीचे चला गया था. It was the lowest at that time, no one was buying it. Go to March, April 2020. Sorry? कंटेनर क्राइसिस वो तो दूसरे कारण से आई थी, जब शिपिंग इंडस्ट्री वगैरह बंद हो गई थी. बट शिपिंग इंडस्ट्री बंद इसलिए बिकॉज नो वन वाज बाइंग ऑयल. सॉरी, आर वी गेटिंग इट? तो प्राइसेस वर वेरी लो, बट यहां तक वो मैनेजेबल था. बट लुक एट दिस, दिसंबर 2021 से मार्च अप्रैल 2022. फरवरी में हुआ रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर. इट वाज लाइक टेंशंस वर गोइंग ऑन इन दिसंबर, जनवरी आल्सो. This was one reason why prices went up, but this was only one of the reasons. There were many other reasons. Increase in demand after COVID-19. COVID-19 lockdown, demand नहीं था, prices उस time बहुत कम थे. But when opening up happened, pent up demand increased. Cuts in supply by OPEC plus countries. They also decided we will not produce more than this much oil. And then supply disruption because of Russia-Ukraine war. So in June 2022, this price had gone to up to $116. Got it? But it has now subsidized to $78 billion. Further reduction in excise duty by central government and reduction of VAT by state government have also played a role there. The prices have come down now. Excise duty by center, and some of the states have also reduced their VAT sales tax, because of which prices of fuel has come down. Okay. Someone is asking, Samakshi is asking, sir, the reduction of NPA will lead to direct reduction of RWA, risk weighted asset. NPA अगर reduce हो रहा है तो risk weighted asset, हाँ, risk weighted asset कम होगा ना, क्योंकि risk कम हो जाएगा उस particular. Yes, it may go down. Yes. Timing for extra class, बेटा 2 to 5, 2 PM to 5 PM, जो Tuesday, Wednesday को extra class है, will keep doing Economic Survey of India and budget on there. Tuesday, Wednesday को it is from 2 PM to 5 PM. PMP के साथ कहाँ क्लैश कर? नहीं, अभी कोई क्लास नहीं है PMP की. नहीं, कोई क्लास नहीं. अभी PMP में विल फर्स्ट फिनिश इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया एंड बजट. PMP में भी तो इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया बजट करना है ना. दैट इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग ऑन प्रायोरिटी. आफ्टर दैट विल टेक जो आपके 2 क्लासेस पेंडिंग है PMP के. तो अभी अच्छा नया बैच. ओह, नया बैच. ओके नहीं नहीं, पूरा पीएमपी 1.0 की कोई क्लास नहीं है अभी, इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ऑफ बजट एंड बजट ही चल रहा है। हाँ तो यार ये बाद में देख लेना, क्या कर सकते हैं। नहीं क्लास शाम को भी नहीं है, 11 से 2 भी क्लासरूम अवेलेबल नहीं है, क्लासरूम 2 to 5 ही अवेलेबल नहीं है अवेलेबल, बोला 2 क्लासेस चल रही है सुबह। गिव अस सम टाइम्स, नीचे वाला क्लासरूम रेडी हो रहा है, विल हैव दैट। ओके, convergence of WPI and CPI. Why we are talking about this convergence? See, there was a lot of divergence between WPI and CPI. From April 2021, WPI was much higher than CPI. But this convergence has happened abhi November में. तो पहले let us understand why divergence होता है जनरली CPI और WPI के बीच में. Pass through of international prices may take time. That's one factor. Difference in the basket, that is another factor. CPI में there are different items, WPI में there are different items and different weight. Services भी नहीं है. Less competition at retail level में become a factor. Wholesale वाले कम रेट पे चीजें प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, but because at the retail level, then there are other aspects, transportation and all those things. But here something ulta has happened. WPI inflation is higher, retail inflation is lower. What is the reason for it? WPI became high due to unfavorable base effect. WPI was very less during the COVID year. CPI was higher there also. हमारे फूड आइटम्स के प्राइस बढ़े थे, दूध का प्राइस, चिकन का प्राइस। मेरे को दूध चिकन याद है क्योंकि लॉकडाउन में वही खा रहा था, दूध ब्रेड या चिकन राइस, बिकॉज कुक एंड नो वन वाज कमिंग। मैं सोचता था कुछ बनाना ही है यूट्यूब पे देख देख के, व्हाई नॉट मेक चिकन, नहीं तो दूध ब्रेड। तो आई नो कि उन दोनों चीजों के प्राइसेस बढ़े थे। डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस? तो रिटेल प्राइसेस वर गोइंग अप, होलसेल प्राइसेस वर very low in the pandemic year, and because of that in 2021, because of low base, WPI में there was higher number. WPI became high due to unfavorable base effect. Last Russia Ukraine war led to high WPI also, because WPI में उन चीजों का वेटेज, तो फ्यूल एंड उसका वेटेज CPI में कम है, पर WPI में it may be directly higher. Why convergence took place by November 2022? हमने देखा है convergence. One, cooling and inflation of commodities such as crude oil, iron, aluminum and cotton to lower WPI. This led to lower WPI. These commodities have large weight in WPI when compared to CPI. So when the prices of commodities went down, CPI में इनका weight बहुत कम है, तो बहुत कम आना भी CPI को बहुत कम नीचे लेके नहीं आ रहा, but in case of WPI their weight is higher. When the prices of these things came down, WPI came down. CPI did not come down as much. If CPI had also, if their weight was higher in CPI and CPI भी ऐसे आ जाता, तो divergence would have been maintained, but that has not happened. Are we understanding this? Why this divergence had ended there? So why this happened? We have explained that. Monetary policy measure, because inflation was high, monetary policy tightening happened, and between May and December 2022, 2.25% से 4 the interest rate were increased by 2.25%. From 4% it went to 6.25%. अभी हमने पिछले क्लास में in the last class we saw how it changed, how the repo rate MSF repo rate and SDF kept on changing in every monetary policy MPC meeting. Okay, how is current inflation different from 1970s? This is another small topic that Economic Survey of India is discussing. How is current inflation different from 1970s? See, 1970s में, 1973 में there was an oil crisis when these oil producing countries reduced their oil supply. It was a major crisis. It was a huge crisis. All over the world, inflation was high because oil prices were increasing, but at the same time, stagnation was there. Generally, with high inflation, you see economic growth. But अगर oil ही available नहीं है, तो economies were suffering for that reason also. The economic growth was also very less. So this time also, oil prices have been affected because of the Russia-Ukraine war. So here, Economic Survey of India has done a comparison in how these increase in price is different from the 1973 increase. both in terms of cause and impact. How their causes are different, how their impacts are different. So first thing that Economic Survey of India says that recent oil price rise were much smaller than what happened in 1970s. 1970s, if you go to 1970s वाला situation, you will see images where petrol pump के बाहर दूर दूर तक कारें खड़ी हैं and oil is not there. Something like that did not happen this time. Just we saw some videos where they were showing ki, the only thing making century is oil price, not Kohli. These kind of jokes were coming up, but ये situation नहीं था कि oil is not available. Right. Second, 1970 price rise was confined to oil prices, but this time price rise also happened in other commodities like agri foods, fertilizers, and metals. Commodity supply disruption had played a smaller role in recent price increase than in 1970s. So commodity supply disruption have played a smaller role. इसका मतलब क्या है? Rise in commodity price is accompanied with modest increase in production. So though commodity prices rose this time, their production also went up, and thus the impact that it had, their oil prices went up, but oil supply in 1970s did not increase. But that wasn't the case this time. Commodity prices went up, but in the end we saw commodity prices going down. That's why WPI reduced. Further, commodity supply chain is much more effective now, and thus the source country से destination country में लाना and all is not delayed, and thus this problem did not get aggravated the way it got aggravated then. The current inflation was also there was also another major difference between 1970 and this time, 1973 and this time. Before 1973, before the oil shock of 1973, early 1970s, the preceding year had very high inflation. So government or the banking sectors had already kept inflation rate on the higher side and so on. But this wasn't the case this time. Preceding year were not that high inflationary. And thus, वहाँ पे already economic slowdown was occurring, and then suddenly oil supply also got affected. Here, economy was doing better. Interest rates were also lower in the previous years. And then this problem occurred, and thus we had a mechanism to deal with it, which wasn't the case in 1970s. 1970s में the current inflation was preceded by several years of low inflation, but the 1973 oil shock, there was a backdrop of several years of steady rise in inflation. Another way by which it was different. Are we getting it? Okay. Central banks today have a much more robust policies. They know inflation targeting is their goal. This inflation targeting, most of the central banks in the world don't understand. They know what has to be done at the time of price rise. This maturity, this robust policy had not developed at the time in 1970s, and thus confusion in policy making was also there, which created bigger problems. Okay, now we'll come to housing prices. How housing prices are changing, how housing prices are modifying. Because we're talking about inflation, so India mein na, the housing price regulator is National Housing Bank. In 2019 amendment was done, and the responsibility has also been transferred to RBI. But abhi bhi this National Housing Bank plays a important role in housing sector. Now it gives two pricing index for housing sector. One is HPI assessment price, other is HPI market price, which is given quarterly. In HPI assessment price, it sees the increase in price from the data of lenders. They say, if I want to buy a house, I'll go to HDFC Bank and I'll say, give me some loan, I'm buying a house. The HDFC Bank will have will collect the data of at what price you are buying the house. Right? So based on that price, what was the price of house in the previous year, before that, you measure how much change is taking place. So that is using HPI assessment. So this is HPI assessment price or HPI assessment price wala mechanism. Another is HPI market price. This is another way in which you can calculate how the price is varying. In HPI market price, what we do is we look at unsold inventories, at what rate they are available to be bought. Suppose you want to buy a house somewhere, right? तो सेलर अभी आपने खरीदा नहीं है, खरीदा होता तो आपने बैंक से लोन लिया होता, तो दैट डेटा वाज अवेलेबल फ्रॉम एचपीआई असेसमेंट प्राइस, राइट? You want to buy a house, some seller is selling it, your prices are not matching, but the price at which it is available, unsold inventory hai wo, the price at which it is available, using that you will see at what price was it available last year, was it available usse pehle, and how the price has varied. That is HPI market price. Are we getting this? Are we understanding this? NHB publishes these two indexes, HPI on the basis of HPI assessment price and HPI market price, and it also produces a composite index for 50 cities across India using population of the cities as weight. Okay, how the prices have varied. HPI assessment price and HPI market price. ऊपर वाला assessment है, नीचे वाला market है. For those of you who have black and white printouts, poor people. I have colored. हाँ, मैंने नहीं भाई, तुमने फीस ही इतनी भरी है, अब कर लो 10,000 की, तो कितना टारगेट प्री का कितना, 10,000 या 15,000 है, 50,000 दो, एकदम कलर्ड लैमिनेटेड दूंगा नोट्स. HPI assessment price, HPI market price. Note something. Prices more or less normally बढ़ रहे थे, है ना? There was some, for example, in market price there was some stagnancy, but if you see assessment price was more or less going up. Here in March 2020 you see थोड़ा सा stagnancy यहाँ पे दोबारा है, and this whole period roughly till September 2022 here, and यहाँ पे till December 2022 prices are a bit less, then they started going up, फिर again दूसरा लॉकडाउन आया, prices थोड़ा सा stagnant हुआ, but then you see the prices are comfortably going up. This going up prices are good for the economy. Good for the economy, it shows that there is demand, people have income, there will be more buildings which would be coming up, there would be more construction activities which would happen. You're getting it? So we're saying COVID-19 crisis had significantly impacted the residential real estate market. The real estate industry started gaining momentum from September 2020 till the end of March 2021. Then again, Delta wave came April, May 2021 में, but the second wave again impacted it. However, timely policy intervention by the government coupled with low home loan interest rates propped up the demand and attracted buyers more readily in the affordable housing segment in FY23. The overall increase in the composite HPI assessment and HPI market price indicate a revival in the housing finance sector. A stable to moderate increase in HPI also offers confidence to homeowners and the home loan financiers in terms of the retained value of the asset. Homeowners, they know that their value, their house value is increasing. People who are giving loan, let's say बैंक मुझे आज लोन पे दे रहा है, सपोज आई एम बाइंग अ फ्लैट जो मुझे 1 करोड़ रुपए में मिल रहा है, लेट्स से, एंड आई टेक लोन फ्रॉम द बैंक. 1 करोड़ में मिल जाएगा दिल्ली में फ्लैट? कहाँ मिल रहा है बताओ यार? हाँ, न्यू राजनगर में मिल सकता है? नहीं मिलेगा ना, वही तो 3 बेच का 3 करोड़ बोलते हैं. मैंने कहा भैया इतना तो लोन भी नहीं देगी बैंक. तो एनीवेज, सपोज आई वांट टू बाय अ हाउस व्हिच इज 1 करोड़, है ना, अपनी औकात से ऊपर नहीं जाते. क्या बोल रहे हो भाई? छोड़ो, कम बैक टू दिस विद एक्सेसरीज. फर्निश्ड हाउस पे कब्जा करवाएगा भाई यार. भाई टीचर की इमेज है, गुंडे की नहीं. लेट्स कम बैक टू दिस. सपोज आई वांट which is costing me 1 crore rupees. Okay, that's the scenario. I'll take loan from the bank and let's say I take 90 lakh rupees of loan. Na, 10 lakh rupees देता हूँ. Now, suppose 1 year down the line I'm not able to pay that 90,000 rupees per month. 2 year down the line I'm not able to pay that. NPA बन गया, but bank takes papers of my house. वो घर उनका है, they will नीलाम करवाएंगे घर. What is, they will get the house auction. If the prices are going up, so today the price of the house was 1 crore, 2 years later it would be 1.2, 1.3 crore. Will bank be able to recover its money? Yes. So in this situation, bank is ready to give home loans easily. But if the prices are stagnant or going down, in that case, bank would be less ready because they may not be able to recover the amount in case of difficulties. Moreover, I may myself want at that time, if the price is going down, let's say prices बहुत drastically गिर रहे हैं, 1 crore का house 50 lakh का मिल रहा है अगले साल, I'll be like, थोड़ा EMI भर दिया ठीक है, अब नहीं भरना. What will bank do? Bank will take over, हाँ, take it over, I'll buy another house in 50 lakh rupees. Now, why should I pay 90 lakh for it? Are you getting it? So banks also want, bank credit companies also want that prices should be slightly going up. Sound okay? Sir, mat baitho. Okay, right, I got it. Did you understand this? Ki why price rise is good for bank credit, good for economy? Now, pharmaceutical prices. Last topic, छोटा सा pharmaceutical prices. So, National Pharmaceutical Pricing Policy 2012 provided for setting up of certain bodies, DPCO and all, उससे price control कर रहे हैं. All that has been modified recently. You'll see we have come up with NLEM 2022, National List of Essential Medicine. We have come up with that in September 2022, and we came up with revised Schedule 1 of Drugs Price Control Order, DPCO. It was notified on 11th November 2022 by Department of Pharmaceutical incorporating NLEM 2022 on the basis of this National List of Essential Medicine. जो essential medicine की list है, उन्हीं medicines को हम identify करके we control their prices. Ceiling prices of 109 formulations under NLEM 2022 has been fixed. Ceiling, that is the maximum price at which it can be sold until 31st December 2022. In addition, retail prices of 2196 formulations have been fixed under the previous DPCO. In future, it will be modified. So, medicines may be, for essential medicines, government tend to control prices. Not for high-end medicines, but the essential ones. Okay. Then, Jan Aushadhi scheme, under Jan Aushadhi scheme, what is government doing? Government is creating Jan Aushadhi Kendras, where generic medicines would be available at lower affordable prices. So, you would see that as of January 2023, 9,000 Jan Aushadhi Kendras are functional across the country. The government has set up a target to increase the number of Jan Aushadhi Kendras to 10,000 by March 2024. It offers 1759 medicines and 280 surgical instruments at low prices. Now, अभी खत्म नहीं कर रहे, थोड़ा और समझते हैं इसको. How many districts do we have in the country? Districts 735 something, right? 700-800 districts in the country. When we have around 9,000 of this, let's say 10,000, then even then in a district there are only 15 Jan Aushadhi Kendras. So abhi bhi there is on an average more opportunity, right? Medical stores, so you find somewhere very nearby around you, no? Now is not the time where you travel 50 kilometers to go to a medical store. So still there are lots of scope of setting up Jan Aushadhi Kendra. So how is government encouraging setting up of Jan Aushadhi Kendras? Usme you would see various incentives are given. The scheme provides an excellent opportunity of self-employment with suitable and regular earning. So if you are qualified to run a medical store, then government will give you an incentive of 5 lakh to Jan Aushadhi Kendras as financial assistance and one-time additional incentive of rupees 1 lakh as reimbursement for IT and infra expenditure to Jan Aushadhi Kendra open in Northeast India, Himalayan state, island territories and backward areas identified by Niti Aayog, or if opened by women entrepreneurs, ex-servicemen, Divyangs, SCs and STs. So if you open these Jan Aushadhi Kendras, government is giving you those benefits also, right? So under the scheme, how is government promoting setting up of Jan Aushadhi Kendra? Not all these Jan Aushadhi Kendras are government owned. Now private players would come and invest in these Jan Aushadhi Kendras in remote difficult areas for SC, STs, for women. Government is providing various incentives to you come and start these Jan Aushadhi Kendras. Okay, so this was the topic of inflation. Again, I have not gone into the basics of inflation, but through 500 questions, we'll have at least 30-40 questions on inflation. We will go into the other aspects of inflation. Tomorrow we don't have a class, but on Tuesday and Wednesday we have classes from 2 p.m. Tuesday का class is very important. तो social issues वाला section है, where poverty, unemployment, education, health, all those things have been discussed in chapter 6. पहले मैंने बोला था chapter 6 we will be taking a lot of time this today, but today we already had 2 chapters, so I didn't come up with chapter 6. So on Tuesday we'll discuss chapter 6, and on Wednesday we'll discuss chapter 7 and 8 both. Right? हाँ, ट्यूसडे को मैं कोशिश करूंगा, आई एम अगेन नॉट प्रॉमिसिंग, आई विल ट्राई टू मेक क्वेश्चंस ऑन इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया अभी ही, सो दैट वी फर्स्ट सॉल्व क्वेश्चंस ऑन द फर्स्ट 5 चैप्टर्स ऑफ ESI. ओके, तो आई विल सी यू ऑन वेडनेसडे. Tuesday. I'll see you on Tuesday 2 p.m. Thank you very much.